My fiancé thought I was broke until our prenup lawyer meeting revealed my son's trust fund, then suddenly he's demanding half because he magically has a daughter, so now I'm apparently the villain for not funding his business dreams with my lottery money. Posted by you/amazing_box_3511. I, 35F, met my fiancé 2 years ago. My son, 4, gets on well with him, and my ex-husband, my son's father, also likes him. Now to the point, 3 years ago I won a large sum of money in the lottery. Not millions, but enough for a nice life if I work normally, and a good start for my son later. 75% went into a savings account that my son will have access to when he's 21. My fiancé always thought he had plenty of money and never let me correct him. I insisted on a prenuptial agreement, and for that the finances were disclosed. Now the amount in my son's savings account is about 5 times more than anything my fiancé has. Completely enraged, he left the lawyer's office and ignored all calls for 2 days. For me, that was the end of the relationship, and I wrote to him saying that he could have the ring back. A week later, he was at the door. He would love me, but was in shock and now wanted details of where the money had come from. He also told me that he had a 5-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, and that it would only be fair to split the money so that his daughter could also benefit from it. He sees it as justified, as I got the money through luck and not through performance. I gave him back the engagement ring and kicked him out of my apartment. Since then, I've been getting messages from various social media profiles and cell phone numbers that I would be the jerk who was ruining his daughter's future. I only found out about his daughter that day. I never saw any photos or anything like that in the past years. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA. You did the right thing, breaking things off. Stay broken up. This dude will ruin your life otherwise. Up. Yes, for me this relationship is over. I'm just shocked at the games he's playing now. I still haven't found out whether he really has a daughter, or whether he made it up so he could disappear with half the money. Commenter 2. You knew this guy for 2 years, got engaged, and didn't know he had a daughter? And he's upset that you didn't mention your son's money? Up. Well, I tried to tell him about my finances. He never wanted to know. He always was kind of, yeah, I'm the man, you don't have to worry. Commenter 3. So wait, did all this happen before the prenup was even finished? And did you put in your sons because you were worried about creditors coming for you, and this gave you an out? I just am trying to piece together the whole story. Up. We sat with the lawyer to draw up the prenup. We had to disclose our finances. I didn't know exactly whether my son's account was excluded or not, so I took the documents with me as a precaution. When we went through these documents, he stood up and stormed out of the office extremely angry. In my country, it is customary to set up the bank account in the child's name. With normal savings accounts, both the person who opened the account and the parents can have access to it. So my son's dad also knows about it. My side of the family would love to have access to the money in the event of my premature passing. That's why it's blocked. Up added in the comments. Wow, thanks for the support. I never expected so many comments or upvotes. I probably have some explaining to do. In my country, lottery winners are never revealed. Sometimes they say in which region a ticket was bought, but never more. Apart from the financial security for my son, there is no sign of the win in my family. I used my part of the win to pay off debts and bought myself a car, neither new nor anything special. We live in the same rented apartment, and I still have my job that pays the monthly bills. I treat myself to a 2-week vacation in Australia once a year, but never in luxury. My son wears Temu clothes, he loves the designs, and I don't have any designer stuff myself and always wear my clothes up. So there was never any sign that my fiancé was a gold digger. On the contrary. I had to fight for him not to keep inviting me to dinner or paying for weekend trips. I mostly turned them down. I grew up in a financially unstable family, so I was always very concerned about being frugal. My son's savings account is also closed to withdrawals before his 21st birthday. You can put money into it, but you can't take it out. And even then, only he is allowed to do so. Update, 2 months later. Hello everyone, thank you for your support on my original post, and sorry for the long wait for an update. After receiving many of your tips, I took my son to his grandparents, informed the police and also my boss. Unfortunately, the police can't do much in my country as long as he doesn't commit a crime against me. Harassing me on the phone and begging for money doesn't count as a crime. I informed my boss mainly because my ex-fiancé works for a company that we deal with almost daily. That's how we originally met. In recent weeks, there have been many attempts by his friends and family to contact me, all of whom wanted to convince me to give him the money. But everyone hung up when I asked about his daughter. When my ex-fiancé showed up at my work, he didn't normally have to do that after getting a promotion. My boss called my fiancé's company and explained that if he took one more step in my direction, all contracts would be cancelled due to their unacceptable behavior. This led to a meeting with my ex-fiancé's boss, my boss, and me. I didn't tell them every detail, but when it came to the money, his boss explained to me that my fiancé actually wanted to buy a large stake in the company and was allegedly just waiting for the loan to be paid out. This made it clear why he wanted my son's money so badly. My ex-fiancé is actually a highly respected employee at his company, which is why his boss was reluctant to fire him. Especially since this probably wouldn't have improved my situation, and similar to the police, his boss considered it bad behavior, but it wasn't a criminal offense. At the same time, my company is a very large client for them, and sweeping the whole thing under the rug wouldn't help. After a few days, I received the news that my ex-fiancé was being transferred to another branch of the company, several thousand kilometers away from me. The company's purchasing department also clearly rejected the purchase. Afterwards, I found out via social media that my ex-fiancé actually has a daughter. A friend was still following him on Instagram to keep an eye on him, and when she looked at his tags from the last 6 years, she actually noticed his ex, and a look at her profile showed a girl of the specified age. I contacted her, and she willingly explained to me how much he actually wanted a child and how, when the ultrasound showed it was a girl, he left her. He broke off contact with the mother during the pregnancy and willingly gave up all his rights and obligations as a father. She herself is now in a happy relationship, and her husband loves her daughter. She never asked my ex-fiancé for money. Following your advice regarding the savings account, I contacted our financial advisor and can now say that I must apologize to you. It is indeed a trust fund, I just hadn't referred to it as such until then, as it is mainly referred to as a savings account in my country. But yes, it is a trust fund in the American sense. I discussed with my ex-husband, the father of my son, once again how we would make the payout and, thanks to your tips, we have now decided on a staggered payout from ages 21 to 35 so that he has a contribution for several stages of his life. The amount at age 21 has been chosen so that it can be used for college, but at the same time, it won't hurt too much if he squanders it. My question about am I the jerk was mainly because there were actually many people in my circle who called me that because I persuaded my ex-fiancé to sign a prenuptial agreement. But for me, prenuptial agreement was important for several reasons. To secure my son's money, now I know he wouldn't have been able to get his hands on it. I started a small business in addition to my main job, nothing big at the moment, but it's still mine. I'm saving money so that I can eventually realize my dream of owning a house in Australia, and I didn't want to lose that money to him in a divorce. In retrospect, I can see how many red flags I overlooked on his part, and I will definitely be more careful in the future. Thank you for your support, also via DMs. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. As a fellow Australian, I'm not sure what lazy police officer told you harassing calls don't equal a criminal complaint, but they are wrong. You can absolutely lodge a formal complaint against him if you have a record of all the call logs. And while it may not lead to charges and court, the police can make a visit and tell them to stop. You can also inform your phone company about it if it continues. Up. I live in Central Europe, and unfortunately, things are very country-specific here. He didn't threaten me, blackmail me, or anything like that. He made a hell of a lot of phone calls, yes, and tried to persuade me, but nothing that could lead to a court order, according to the police or my lawyer. He didn't show up at my door, and when he showed up at my work, it was the first time I had seen him in weeks. Commenter 2. Protecting your son's future doesn't make you the villain, it makes you the only one in his corner while everyone else tried to cash in. My ex-husband showed up for custody pickup with his future stepson, demanded I let them both inside to use my bathroom, but when I said no he told our kids I'd rather let a child wet himself than help, and now I'm spiraling because maybe I really am the villain in this messy divorce drama. Posted by you/bonus, West 5031. Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our day during our 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocks. I open the door, and he is holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asks to come in and says his fiancé's son needs to use the bathroom. I told him I don't want him to come inside, because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with the situation. He said his stepson needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He said my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said, "Your brother needs to use the bathroom." My son said, "I'll take him." My ex said, "No, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time." My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterward saying I was cruel to a child to punish him, and that's not okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed of my actions. I have been fighting with him for so long, my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Ada has no consensus bot. Op was NTA. Relevant comments. Can Op do the exchanges at McDonald's? OP, that doesn't work, because he will be late, and then if I go home, he'll want me to come back and then say I'm denying him his custody time. Judge said he can have a 2-hour window for pickup, but it's not fair to me to have to sit in a parking lot for 2 hours, so this is what was agreed upon with the judge for both of us. It's not perfect, but everything else we tried was worse. Why 2-hour window? OP, my ex said he needs the window because he helps take care of his fiancé's 2 small children, who sometimes cause unavoidable delays. Does Op's attorney know about this issue about her ex trying to gain access to her house and the child exchange window time? OP, he knows about the windows, but I didn't tell him about what happened yet because I'm still processing it. He's already dealing with the complaint my ex made about me taking the boys to see Superman after he told me he wanted to take them. I'm so anxious about telling him there's a new issue. Did Op take her sons to see Superman after her ex told her that he wanted to take them? OP, yes. The boys wanted to watch Superman the day it came out, which was during my custody time. I told them I would take them. He texted me afterward saying he doesn't want me to take them, because he wants to do it. I told the boys their dad wants to take them, and they could decide between going with me or going with him. They wanted to go the day it came out. There's no rule saying he can tell me not to take them to movies he wants to take them to, so I took them. Why did the ex bring his future stepkid with him? OP, I really don't understand why he brought him. I think the sister was in the car too. I'm not sure, but I think I saw her in the car on my camera afterwards. I hope not though, because that means he left her alone in the car while he was on my stoop, which makes me so anxious. Commenter 1, okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you have stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car, but if this jerk just likes to mess with you around, then NTA. OP, he was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Up on her kids' ages and how they make their own decisions between her and their father. OP, my oldest is 11, and my younger son is 6. No one was forced to do anything. They were given a choice. Do you want to stick with the original plan, or with the new information available to you that your dad specifically wants to take you, would you rather wait and go with him? Life is all about making choices, and my job, as a mother, is to provide my children with a safe environment to make those choices so they develop good decision-making skills that will serve them well in adulthood. Update 1 week later. I did talk to my lawyer about what happened. He said we can address it at the hearing we already have scheduled about the movie situation. I thought that was that, but of course it was my turn to pick up the kids today. When I arrived at my ex's place, he opened the door very wide and invited me in. I was suspicious and said no thank you. He kept insisting I come in so we can show the kids we are civil, but I had a bad feeling. I said I would just wait in the car for the boys to come out. I got in my car and texted my older son that I was there. A short while later, he texted me back saying his dad said they couldn't leave unless I got them. I went back to the door and knocked again. Again, my ex invited me inside. I said I didn't want to come in, and that was when my boys showed up. My ex's fiancé was right behind them, telling them to come back upstairs. They ran to me, and we left. I don't know what his game is, but I'm not falling for it, whatever it is. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, make a note and send it to lawyer, basically kidnapping your kids. All meetings are now at a public location, so don't pick McDonald's or a place where the kids will want and expect junk food. No more pickups at house, and don't even get out of your car. OP, it's not up to me. The judge decided on the current system. Commenter 2, have your boys said anything they might have heard or seen? Weird she'd be trying to pull them back. You are definitely NTA, gotta protect them children. Get drop-offs in public areas instead of homes. Good luck. OP, my son said he wanted to go downstairs when I was at the door, but my ex's fiancé said he needed to wait. Then when I texted him, he went downstairs, but my ex sent him back up. When he heard me at the door the second time, he ran downstairs with my younger son. He doesn't know why they wanted me to come in, but it's pretty clear they did. Op explains why she left her ex. OP, you want to know something funny? Spending time with him was the best part. It was everything else that sucked. I had no privacy. He went through my phone and computer almost every night. If I asked to use my phone while he was going through it, I was hiding something. He would dig through the drawers looking for hidden stuff and mess everything up, and if I complained, he would do it again because there must have been something there if I was complaining. I had to account for every penny I spent, every moment I wasn't being productive. When we were doing things together, he was so charming, funny, and sweet. He's so handsome and smart and fit. But it got to the point where I was scared whenever he wasn't around because I couldn't trust myself to make decisions without his approval. I was becoming a shell of myself. Commenter 3, NTA. Your previous posts state the kids are 11 and 6. They are old enough for curbside exchanges. Have your lawyer request that the parent doing the pickup will text the other parent when they are on their way with an ETA and must remain in their car when they arrive. They will text the other parent when they arrive. The children must be sent out within 5 minutes. This allows time for the kids to get ready with their items and have used the bathroom if needed. If this is granted, get a ring camera and a dashboard camera as proof when he violates the orders. OP, this sounds like a great idea. I wonder if my lawyer could convince the judge. Was the ex violent toward up? OP, he's not physically violent. He once told me, after we'd seen someone in public slap their child, in a tone of absolute disgust, anyone who uses violence on their family not only can't control their family, but they can't control themselves. That's pathetic. He never hit me, even when the divorce was at its worst levels of contention. He told me I was worthless, that no man would ever want me, that I was nothing without him, but he never touched me. Update 2, 6 days later. Just concluded our hearing, and it went okay, all things considered. Judge said that neither of us need the permission of the other to take the children to age-appropriate experiences like movies. He told ex not to tell me I can't take the kids to do certain things because he wants to do them. If he wants to do them, he can, but so can I. So that was a win. Judge was annoyed that there was another drop-off issue. He was especially annoyed because the reason he gave my ex a 2-hour window for drop-offs was because he said he needed the flexibility since he is a caretaker of his fiancé's children. If he's taking them with him to drop-offs, why does he need 2 hours? Judge told him do not take his fiancé's children to my house, and do not ask to come inside my house. He told me not to ask to go inside his house either. He also told me not to rush my ex and to be patient and allow the children time to come to the door. I wasn't rushing him, but I didn't say that to the judge. I just agreed. Ex also dropped the bombshell that the week of the wedding, he needs me to pick the kids up from the resort the wedding is at instead of his house, because they are going on their honeymoon straight from the resort and not returning home. I am very uncomfortable with this, and my lawyer said that is too much of a burden to put on me. The judge disagreed with my lawyer and said we all have to be flexible sometimes. So I am stuck doing that. I feel like he intentionally started fights about the previous 2 issues he knew he would lose on so the judge would side with him on the final issue to make things fair. Maybe I'm just paranoid. So 2 wins and a loss. Hopefully they'll be too happy about being married to pull any stunts. Relevant comments. Could Op stay at the hotel on the day of the wedding once her sons are done at their father's wedding? OP, it is not a long drive. The resort is right outside the city. I cannot stay at the hotel, as that is not within my budget, and I have no interest in using their pool and then being shamed for doing so by my ex-husband's friends and family. I cannot think of a less appealing prospect. Is Op allowed to record the pickup after the wedding? OP, my lawyer said it's fine to have a ring camera or a dash cam, but not to record things on my phone unless my ex is doing something really bad, because our judge really hates people who record everything, and it will prejudice him against me. Cannot bring a witness with her for the pickup? OP, if I bring someone with me, won't that introduce another chaotic variable? I can control my own actions. I can't control theirs. My friends all hate my ex. If I bring one, that in and of itself could be interpreted as a hostile act. My sister is completely unpredictable. Commenter 1, I know it sucks that you have to drive to get them, but this is great news about the rest. He has additional rules that stick forever, while you are only inconvenienced once. If you could only win on 2, I'm glad it was the 2 you got. OP, you are correct. I feel good about that, even though I am incredibly stressed out. I am worried he is going to try to trick me into doing or saying something that can be perceived as hostile and tell the judge I sabotaged his wedding. Commenter 2, if the pickup window is 8 to 10 a.m., what time is the ceremony? You said your son is a part of the wedding, and the earliest I can see the ceremony being is 9 a.m. Who picked the pickup window? If your son has a phone, ask him to text you after the ceremony has finished and park 5 minutes away from the resort to wait until then, even if that's just the side of the road. Also, tell your lawyer your plan. It sounds like your ex is playing stupid games, and I'm sure he will be receiving his stupid prizes soon. OP, to the best of my understanding, the wedding will end very late the night before, and their flight is sometime in the afternoon of the pickup day. I don't really understand the logistics of the thing. I am less stressed now though, because at today's pickup, my ex just stayed in the car and texted our oldest that he was here. Progress. My boyfriend and I went to meet my parents for dinner, then he chugged his drink and burped super loud during grace, so now I'm questioning if all atheists are this rude or if he's just trash. Posted by you/Datinganatheist. So I've, 19F, been dating Kevin, 21M, for a couple months now. I was raised Christian, and while I very much believe in God, I wouldn't consider myself super religious or anything. I go to church maybe 10 times a year. Because of that, I thought I might be compatible with an atheist. So anyway, on Sunday Kevin and I went to my parents for dinner. It was their first time meeting him. I thought things were going well until we sat down to eat, and my dad starts saying grace. I was looking down, but out of the corner of my eye I see Kevin grab his drink, and he chugs it. Once he's done chugging, my dad is still saying grace this entire time, mind you, he lets out this really loud open mouth burp. My dad stops saying grace to look at Kevin. My dad's mouth was hanging wide open, but he didn't say anything. Kevin doesn't say excuse me or anything, so my dad awkwardly finishes saying grace. The dinner itself is painfully awkward. No one acknowledges what happened, but my parents seem pretty annoyed with Kevin, so they make small talk about the weather, what he's taking in school, etc. After we finish eating, I make up an excuse for us to leave, and I drive Kevin home. On the way home I ask Kevin what his problem is and why he was so rude during dinner. At first he doesn't seem to know what I was talking about. I say it's rude to drink during grace, never mind burping as loud as you can afterwards. He says he's an atheist, so he doesn't have to wait for that kind of thing. I say that's ridiculous, as he was still a guest in my parents' home, and he should follow their rules. Then he goes off saying those rules are bullcrap, and he keeps going on about how religion is the worst thing ever. By the time I drop him off, I'm pretty pissed and want nothing to do with him. I haven't talked to him since, but breaking up with him is a given. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because one of the things he said to me was, why was I dating an atheist if I expected him to act religious? I didn't think simply not eating or drinking until after grace was acting religious, but now I'm questioning that. I know Reddit is very pro-atheist, so I want to get opinions from other atheists. I've never dated one before Kevin, so I don't know. He says any self-respecting atheist would do the same he did. Is that true? Or is he just a jerk? My cousin had warned me about dating an atheist, but considering I don't take religion too seriously, I didn't think it would be an issue. Maybe I was wrong, and I'm not compatible. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Kevin didn't behave that way because he's an atheist. He behaved that way because he's a rude little jerk. He says any self-respecting atheist would do the same he did. No, they wouldn't. He did it to get a rise and act somehow superior. Kevin is an idiot. Source: atheist that has sat through many prayers, graces, and weird spiritual moments other people have. I keep my mouth shut and usually just think about food or what beer I want or sometimes cool movies. Up. Thanks. I know you're right, but Kevin has this way of talking that makes it seem like everything he says is correct, and I guess it made me doubt myself. Commenter 2. Please give us an update after you've kicked that turd to the curb. He has a lot of growing up to do. I can't imagine how awful you must have felt in that moment. Thankfully it's only been a few months. Up. Not much of an update, but reading the comments made me realize just how much of a jerk he is. I started to think about past times where he refused to think he was wrong. He's very arrogant. I don't know why I didn't realize that until now. I was already planning on breaking up with him, so I sent him a text a little while ago saying it's over. His response was whatever. Thank you everyone for the responses. You are absolutely right that this is a matter of Kevin being a jerk, nothing about atheists. Commenter 3. Show Kevin the comments on this post. Up. Not worth my time, to be honest. I'm done with him. He'll have to figure out just how arrogant he is on his own. Update, 6 weeks later. First of all, I want to thank everyone who responded to that post I made. I got a lot more responses than I thought I would. And that really made me see how in the wrong Kevin was. Kevin and I broke up right after that incident. It made me realize a lot of things about our relationship that I guess I wasn't seeing clearly before. He really was arrogant and manipulative. He had this way of saying things that made it sound like he was right 100% of the time, and that anything I said was stupid. It wasn't until after I read all of the comments that overwhelmingly said he was in the wrong that I realized just how manipulative he was. Maybe I should mention that Kevin was really hot, like really hot, so maybe that's why I didn't realize how much of a jerk he was until way later. Anyway, this isn't so much of an update as to our relationship. It's a funny story I heard. I've been working a summer job for the past while now in my hometown where both Kevin and I live. It's not a tiny town where everyone knows each other, but it's not huge either. Anyway, at work I was talking with some of my co-workers on break, and the conversation of terrible exes came up. The story that my one co-worker decided to share was about, you guessed it, Kevin. Apparently they dated about a year ago. My co-worker, let's call her Brenda, had to go to her cousin's wedding, and Kevin was her plus one. During the ceremony, Kevin got really bored, and he decided to let everyone know. Apparently he started saying stuff like, oh my god, this is taking so long, and is it almost over yet? And he kept going on and on. He wasn't so loud that everyone could hear him, but the people around him definitely could. Brenda said a lot of people were turning their heads to look at them, and she was super embarrassed. Apparently they got in a huge fight between the ceremony and reception, and that was the end of their relationship. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that story. Sounds exactly like something Kevin would do. Anyway, that's it for my update. Things are going well for me. I'm currently enjoying single life. Just working and hanging out with friends. One of the things that Kevin said that really bothered me was that religion never does anything good. That really bothered me, so I started volunteering with a charity that my church helps run once a week, just organizing stuff that's been donated. Maybe I let him get to me, but it feels good to help out. I don't hold anything against atheists. You guys totally convinced me that the problem was Kevin, and that many atheists are cool. So thank you for that. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. What was your family's response to the dumping? Up. I guess I shouldn't have left that part out. My parents were shocked by his behavior. Apparently they spent a long time talking about whether they should bring it up with me. They are both very non-confrontational type people, and they always said they would try not to pass judgment on who I date. But Kevin was just too much for them, and they were planning on telling me what they thought of him. Fortunately for my parents, by the next time I talked to them we had already broken up. So they were definitely relieved. Commenter 2. Brenda told us about Kevin being a jerk at a wedding. And then you told them about Kevin belching during grace, right? Tell me you didn't hold out such a great story while everyone else was already laughing at him. Up. Oh, I definitely did not pass on the opportunity to share that story.
My friend asked to stay at my place. I said no, but then I came home to find her inside my house claiming she's been my tenant for 2 months, so now the cops won't remove her. Posted by you/crazyb tenant. I have a friend who called me last night asking for a place to stay. I politely told her no. She's 25, I'm 19, and I should mention she's a narcissistic jerk. Today I was over at my cousin's place this morning, and when I came home a couple of hours ago, I found this jerk inside my house. No signs of a break-in from the outside. I ask her how she got in, and she tells me through the back window. I tell her I never gave you permission to come here, and that she needs to leave immediately, and she says deal with it. I call the cops and tell them that there's a person who got inside my house without my permission, and that I need an officer to come and remove her. A couple of minutes later they arrive, and here's what happens. She tells them I know my rights officers, I've been a legal tenant in this house for 2 months now, and you can't just remove me. I can go around, show you my clothes in the wardrobe. My toothbrush and my conditioner in the bathroom, and all of my other stuff. They take a walk with her, and all of her darn stuff is all over my house. She darn broke into my house, put her stuff all over so that the cops would think she's been a tenant. The next thing they tell me is that I have to serve her with an eviction notice, and that they can't legally remove her since she's considered a tenant. I didn't even know what to tell them as I felt so dumbfounded and shocked I was set up like this. I was silent for a few seconds, and so they try to explain how the law works to me, but since I just keep looking at them in silence not believing myself, they just proceed to leave. I'm so darn angry. I'm in California so I can't even record her confessing to what she's done. If I can do that under an exception I could easily do it because apparently she has no problem admitting to it when the cops aren't here. I'm not, however, going to do so if it will lead to more problems. I've also thought about calling 911 or the non-emergency line and telling the operator about the situation so that the call would be recorded, and then make my friend confess about it. Can I do that? Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. How do I get this jerk out without having to serve her eviction notice? Isn't that against the law what she did there? Isn't this fraud? I've thought about trying to prove that she's been living somewhere else before, but I don't know what to do. This is messed up. I'm really sorry about my language, but I'm really feeling so angry, and I'm trying to be calm as much as I can while she's in my darn house using my stuff, and I can't do anything about it. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. Yes, because the person being recorded doesn't consent. How do I get this jerk out without having to serve her eviction notice? If the police won't take action, eviction is all you have. Up. Even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here? So what now? I can go to any of my friend's house and put my stuff there and basically live for free. If I eventually get proof she faked this, what can I do at that point? Commenter 2. Even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here? It's difficult to prove a negative. Especially given that she didn't have another place to stay. Still, if you believe you have that evidence, you can try the police again. But, if the police don't do anything, eviction is your only option. Up. So basically anyone can go break in anywhere at a friend's house and this would work? This is ridiculous. Commenter 3. Tenants are given broad protection against being kicked out. This is a good thing. In your case, you have a situation where someone isn't a tenant but looks exactly like a tenant. That sucks, but it's an edge case. A one-off. It just doesn't happen that often. So yeah, in the extremely rare circumstance that someone breaks into your home, with no damage, and scatters enough stuff around to look like a tenant, you get a little screwed. It sucks, but the worst thing you can do is compound it by trying to kick her out without the eviction. Commenter 4. I am going to go in a completely different direction, and suggest you get a protection order. This woman is dangerous, and completely out of touch with reality. If I were you, I would be very, very scared. Go down to the court and fill out an order for temporary protection. The form will ask you if you two live in the same home. Say no. Put in her last known address. You should get her order to stay away from you, and she will not be able to enter the apartment, as it will be breaking the order. If you need to call the police, you can call and tell them you have an order of protection against this person, and they will make her leave. You do not want a residence exclusion order, which requires actual violence. You want a stay away order. Update 1, 1 day later. I texted one of her friends on Instagram who I know is close to her and explained what happened. She gave me her boyfriend's name on Facebook and told me to talk to him to see if he could come over and persuade her to leave. I've reached him, and we got on the phone a few minutes ago. He said he can come over after work and see what he can do. Is there anything I should do before he comes here? Do I start recording video? Do I call the cops instead? Do I bring in a third witness? I'm really afraid if this ever turns into a domestic violence situation of some sort if any of them decides to do anything stupid. Keep in mind I'm 19, and both of them are well over my age by a lot. Relevant comments. IKEA, emotional. It's time to call in a friend. A close one. I would propose your mom actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical violence de-escalating effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm. Very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. If all goes well, I would suggest you lock the door behind her, and this time lock your window. The problem with that, of course, is the cops have already decided she lives there. So if she calls them claiming you locked her out, you're out of luck. In these circumstances it might be worth the risk. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone or who can say where she lived? Instagrams of her taking pics of her place? Facebook posts where she indicates where she lives or implied is not with you? Like can I come over? From a few days ago would be great. Once you're done with her, don't ever talk to her again. That's it. This is a new level of crazy, and it's going to burn everything it touches. Up. It's time to call in a friend. A close one. I would propose your mom actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical violence de-escalating effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm. Very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. I didn't tell my mom about any of this yet because she worries a lot about me, and she already has a lot of issues going on, so I didn't want to put any more pressure on her. I think I have to call her now though. I know for sure she'll have my back on this. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone or who can say where she lived? Instagrams of her taking pics of her place? Facebook posts where she indicates where she lives or implied is not with you? When I looked up her Instagram account I found lots of pictures in Arizona that she was dumb enough to have them tagged with location. The pictures were taken within the past month. I took screenshots as well as archiving them like a web version. I also wrote down a transcript of how the conversation went down when she called me asking to stay at my place and I refused. I've screenshotted the conversation with her friend as well. Nop nip. Why didn't you follow the advice in the previous post and pursue a restraining order? Up. I should have done this, but I didn't. Someone mentioned that I should try and contact one of her friends or family and let them try and talk to her, and so that's what I did. I'm hoping it works. If not, I'll go file the restraining order. Update 2, 1 day later. First of all I want to explain what happened, apologize, and thank all of you. Long story short, as soon as her boyfriend came in she started crying hysterically. I told them that I'm video recording them through my phone, but they seemed uninterested in what I said. She started blaming him for all sorts of stuff, he kept apologizing a lot, and after what seemed like an eternity, she packed her stuff and they were both gone. Now, I've written down on a piece of paper all your different advice. I'll file a restraining order against her. I'll also go file a police report and talk to the sheriff explaining everything that happened. I've documented all I could. I have screenshots of her IG account with the pictures tagged to Oz. Plus the video of her and her boyfriend arguing in my house and then packing and leaving together. My mom's main concern right now is getting the protective order ASAP and installing an alarm system in my house. She said she'll be staying with me until we can get a company to install an alarm system on Monday. Thank you guys for suggesting to call my mom. It made me feel safer while she was here. Apology, I know how annoying it was for you guys to keep giving me advice that I should file the restraining order and go to the police only to find me not do any of them but invite a stranger to my house. My mom also pointed out how badly this could have gone with her boyfriend coming here. Relevant comment. Commenter 1. I've been thinking about this since I read it. Honestly, I hope it's fake. If the cops showed up and this lunatic told them she was a tenant, why would OP not say something like fine, prove to them you live here. Where's your lease? Where are your keys? Where do you sleep? Show them your license with this address. Show them a piece of your mail addressed here. OP. I wish you were there with me, man, and pointed those things out. It just took me off guard. I just stood there saying nothing. Anyway, I'm so lucky it didn't go worse. I'm just really relieved this whole thing is off my chest now. I'm truly thankful for each one of you.
My mom came home glowing from her haircut, and I helped style her perfectly, but my stepdad said she was ugly and no one would want intimate time with her, then suggested opening their marriage, so now I'm cutting out of town because this family drama is cutting into my sanity. Posted by you/CatmanCarl96. I, 19F, am not sure if I'm overstepping a boundary by sharing this story, but I'm moving out in a week and think this is ridiculous. My mom, 44F, and stepdad, 47M, have been married for 14 years. As far as I can remember, this guy has been in my life, and I love him like I love my biological father. They have had what looks to be a happy marriage. In the last year, my mom has started working overnights at a vet office. This causes her and my stepdad's schedule to not align. This also causes her to make more money than him. My mom has also struggled with her appearance in the last few years. She was on a strict keto diet, like my stepdad, for over a year and stopped when it began to make her feel more bad than good. This caused her to rapidly change weight, and she's quite insecure about it. She and I have a very close relationship, and she has confided in me several times about her problems and other moments when it was clear to me that my stepdad was insecure about something. But I'm not a therapist, so my usual response is that she seek therapy because I am not equipped to be her daughter and her couple's therapist. Love her so much though. Today, she told me she was going to get a haircut with my sister, 14F. The previous week she had been talking with me about getting her hair cut short so it's out of her face at work, and I showed a picture of this shorter 60s style pixie cut that I thought would be so cute on her. When she got back from her appointment, she was glowing. She was wearing her cute little cat-eye-shaped glasses, and I convinced her to put on a collared polka dot dress to complete the look. My sister kept making fun of her hair, but as long as she liked it, I was happy for her. When my stepdad came home from the gym, he could not even look at her. I could tell this was making her sad. I made a joke about how it's like when he shaves himself a mustache and she hates it but deals with it anyway. There wasn't a whole lot of laughing in the crowd, so I walked upstairs to do my own thing and ended up out of the house for a couple hours. When I came back, I could hear them arguing in their bedroom. I couldn't really make out what they were saying and chose to ignore it. Shortly after, my mom came into my room. She sat down on my bed and told me that she had been up for a while. She told me they started arguing about her haircut. He kept telling her how ugly it looked, how ugly she was, how she was never going to make love again with hair like that. This is all her exact retelling of the story. I was literally just sitting there, mouth open, thinking about how ridiculous this was to ever come out of my stepdad's mouth. And then she hit me with he said he wanted to open our marriage. I may be 19 and have little relationship experience, but even I know that's basically admitting that you want to cheat on your wife. She started crying, and I did not know what to say. Shortly after, she got up and left the room. The only thing I said to her that whole time was I cannot wrap my head around how ridiculous this is. And I still can't. Not only do I feel horrible because I've been put in this odd situation between my mom and stepdad, whom I both love. I also feel horrible because if I was married to someone and they said some stuff like this to me, I'd feel so horrible about myself. I want to help her if I can because I care about her, but I'm afraid I'm getting myself into something that I should not and cannot be a part of. And what's worse is that I'm moving 7 hours away in a week, so there's not a lot I can do. What should my mom do? Edit, I'm in therapy myself for a wide range of other stuff and have talked about family issues with my own therapist. Not this issue specifically, but rest assured I will at my next appointment. We'll update in about a week if anything happens. Top comments. Commenter 1, I think your mom should open the marriage with the help of a divorce lawyer. She deserves much better than an insecure jerk. Commenter 2, hi up. It sounds like your mom has been parentifying you for years. You sound really mature, and telling her to speak to a professional is what she absolutely should be doing instead of using her daughter as an emotional support crutch. This isn't your problem to solve. That being said, of course you are rightly worried, but if your mother is refusing to confide in anyone but you, removing yourself from the equation is probably the best for everyone. Your mother is the only one who can make the decision to leave. Perhaps without you there to serve as her soundboard, she will start to take some steps to unravel how she really feels. It's so easy to get caught in a trap of outrage when you've been hurt by someone you love. Your mother is likely still in denial and needs to come to terms with things herself. Commenter 3, you can feel in the middle when two people you love argue, but when one person is abusive, you're too ugly to make love is not a normal reaction. He meant to hurt her, you need to take sides, because if you stay neutral, it will appear as if you don't disagree, which will dishearten the victim and empower the abuser. He wants to smash someone else. The marriage is over. He wants to open the marriage so he doesn't have to sort out his living situation and pay his bills and do his own housework, but I would not agree with that. Wanting out is his prerogative, hurting your mom is not. Update, 5 days later. I wanted to start by saying thank you for the kind words on my last post. A lot of you had some really wonderful advice to give me. These comments made me rethink some things, and upon bringing this all up to my therapist, your advice was very similar to hers. Secondly, I need to address some things. Yes, my mom has friends her age and siblings that she is close with. I have no clue to what extent she talks to them about stuff like this. No, my mom is not the only one who will vent to me sometimes. My stepdad is the same way. Usually it's about more trivial things, but I get to hear both sides of the story most of the time about small arguments that don't really matter. No, I don't think my sister will turn into me once I leave. To put it lightly, she's spoiled. My parents will often vent to me about my sister and her craziness like it isn't the effects of their own passive parenting. I think after all that happened when I was a child, they just kinda gave up with her, and it hurts to watch. But I know I can't parent a child that isn't mine. Now on to the update. The day after it happened, I was with my best friend, and she brought it up to her in nonchalant conversation as we were about to leave for a 3-day trip. Obviously my best friend was worried, and I said outright, I don't think we should be talking about this right now. My mom's response was, oh, you always get mad when I do this. She doesn't mind. I pulled my mom aside and told her I think it's inappropriate to bring my friends into this conversation. She's brought up other ridiculous stuff to my friends. I told her I'm worried about her, and I see her situation getting worse every day, and that I want her to get professional help. She didn't say much, and I left for 3 days. When I came back, everything seemed to be okay. All my mom told me was that he apologized and said when he gets angry he says things unfiltered. I said you should still get couples therapy because again that's ridiculous, but my stepdad doesn't believe in therapy. At this point, I'm glad that I am moving away so I don't have to hear about any of this anymore. I love my mom and am glad to love her at a distance and spend a couple weeks out of the year with her. But I'm so happy to be free from listening to everyone's problems. One day this will likely all blow up in their faces again, and I'll get a call that they got a divorce or something. I mean, there's nothing more that I can do, right? And, Shane, if you're reading this, I would be honored to have my story read in an episode of Smosh Reads Reddit Stories. Top comments. Commenter 1, I'm glad to hear you're leaving, and if I can give you a little piece of advice once you're gone to deal with your mom. When she calls you and starts dumping on you, shut down the conversation. Tell her you're not talking about this, and then if she keeps going or tries to guilt you, end the conversation and hang up. Keep repeating every time until she gets it. Good luck to you. Commenter 2, your mom needs to mature and find her own help instead of bringing these issues to you and your friends. I have a friend whose mom is like this. She told me her marital and family problems when I was a teen, and I found it wildly inappropriate then. Not like she'd ever take advice anyway, it was always just trauma dumping on teens. Like, what the heck? Space and time away will help get you out of the trauma dumping loop. You clearly love your mom, but using you as her free therapist will wear down your relationship over time.
I made my girlfriend her favorite meal as a love gesture, but she literally threw it away and demanded pizza instead. Then when I finally dumped her, she cried about therapy and not deserving love, which is rich coming from someone who treats people like garbage delivery services. Posted by you/Dizzy Suggestion 2360. My girlfriend texted me earlier. I'm too tired and frustrated to even respond. I was trying to do something nice for her and surprise her with something she said she really liked, but apparently she wasn't in the mood for it. I feel pretty much tired of trying in general. I guess I didn't really ask her what she wanted tonight for dinner, but I still feel pretty angry. Transcript. Girlfriend, hey, when is your break? Can you pick up a pizza so I have something to eat tonight? OP, no babe, I made the wine braised short ribs you said last night were your favorite. I got up early to cook them. You just have to pull them from the pot. There's that and the small s'mores cakes I made for Wednesday since there's extra and I figured you'd want some. Girlfriend, I don't really want that though. Can you just grab a pizza on your break? We can eat that stuff later. OP, no, I'm locked in for the night. What's wrong with the short ribs? You literally just told me it was your favorite thing so I made it special for you. Kind of sucks. Girlfriend, well, I tried it and it came out kind of gross anyway so I'm tossing it. Can you ask to leave for a bit and stop by a Papa John's or something? I just want stuffed crust. OP, what do you mean gross? You tossed it? As in like threw it away? Girlfriend, it just tasted bad. I don't know what to tell you, it wasn't eatable. It's not a big deal, I just need to eat something tonight for dinner though. Did you ask? OP, dude, what the heck, that was expensive meat. Why would you throw it away? I already told you I'm not leaving work. Girlfriend, well, I don't know what you expect me to do. It's simple as heck. Just order a pizza then if you're busy. Girlfriend, like I have to eat something. Girlfriend, hello? Places are closing soon. OP, I'm busy at work. I don't want to talk about it right now. Please figure it out, we'll talk later. Unread. Girlfriend, seriously, you're gonna be this much of a jerk over this? Girlfriend, I didn't ask you to cook anything. Girlfriend, if you can't deal with the basics of being a supportive partner, then it should be something I consider and find someone who will support me. End of transcript. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you really shouldn't be dating a teenager. I can't comprehend this person being an adult. Sarcasm aside, get the heck out of this relationship. You want to spend the next 40 years or whatever with someone who throws homemade meals in the garbage, demands pizza from a chain restaurant, and is seemingly incapable of ordering delivery herself? And is rude as heck to you? Dude. There are so many red flags in this exchange that you could open up an Etsy store selling used red flags and become a multimillionaire. Additional information from Op on his response to the top comment. Not sure why I can't edit to add more information on mobile, but I'm borrowing the top comment to answer some questions. She lost her card last week while hanging out with some friends and had to cancel her accounts. She's using mine until her new one comes in the mail. I have not gotten to eat any of the prepared food. Cooking is my love language. I think I mostly just feel heartbroken at this point, and that's why I've decided to just finish work tonight and talk to her in the morning about it. Edit, just a quick follow-up. My shift just ended. I'm going to probably go home and pack some stuff and stay with a friend. She won't be up for a bit, and I don't really feel like sleeping in the same house. We'll update after I talk to her later though. Commenter 2, she is being very disrespectful of you, especially if you spent time especially cooking food for her. She wasn't at all appreciative of even the thought of it, which is a red flag. The comments in the last image were especially disrespectful, and the comment about finding someone else warrants considering leaving the relationship. You don't make statements like that to your partner if you care about them, especially if it's over not getting food. Commenter 3, toss the girlfriend. Look at that last message she sent you. Her goal was to make you feel like garbage, paired with a threat to break up if you don't jump to obey her every whim. She's just going to repeat and escalate that behavior every time you two disagree or you try to hold her accountable. She doesn't respect you at all. Commenter 4. 1. Doesn't show appreciation for you getting up early to make her something that she likes. 2. Throws away something you could have eaten just because she didn't care for it. 3. Apparently incapable of solving her own problems. 4. Threatens you if you don't solve her problems for her. 5. Swears at you in your exchange. 6. Thinks a supportive partner is someone who caters to her wants, not even her needs, and expects you to do so even when you are at work. I could go on, but do I need to? P.S. I'm a woman and I am telling you to run. This ungrateful, emotionally immature person needs a reality check. You deserve better. Update, next day. After spending the morning at a friend's house, I went ahead and just went back to our apartment. I haven't really slept honestly with how anxious I've been to just go and get the conversation, so I'm exhausted. Basically I went back to the apartment. She was there scrolling on her phone. I went ahead and just came out with it and explained to her that I can't keep trying to make things work with someone who doesn't care about what I do for them. She started to cry and tell me it's just the way her brain works and it's not her fault. She says she's trying in her therapy and that she feels like she doesn't deserve to be loved. I more or less followed up and explained to her I can't be the one to keep dealing with her when she treats me like garbage. She basically got angry as heck at this point and told me I never cared and I never really tried, or I wouldn't just leave over something so stupid. She broke a glass I kept from growing up that was sitting on our counter by throwing it on the ground, at which point I just stopped talking. I spent an hour with her yelling and begging me back and forth while I grabbed things I have that are valuable. I'm just going to disappear for a bit at my friend's. I need to figure out what to do about the rent and stuff since we have a month until renewal. I know it's not really all that crazy of an update and it's just the way it should have played out, but I wanted to just get in and out and be done after thinking about it and being ready to move on from being unhappy. I appreciate everyone's comments and to the people who reached out. I'll be honest, I feel like I've wasted a ton of my life trying to help a broken person, and it's just equal parts depressing while also a feeling of being empty and tired. I'm going to try my best to make things better in my life and only give people who appreciate me and the stuff that I do. Top comments. Commenter 1, honestly, I'm incredibly proud of you for this. You deserve someone who loves you as much as you love them. Get yourself a fun drink, watch a movie with your friend that you're staying with, and just know your life will be better without that awful ex in your life. This is not an excuse at all for her, but the way she reacted genuinely makes me feel like she has some personality disorder. It just screams borderline personality disorder. This reminds me so much of someone I dated years ago who had this. I genuinely loved him, but leaving him was the best thing I could have done for myself. Not everyone who has this disorder is toxic, but it just sends me back to the days where when he felt rejected or abandoned by me he would mock me over anything and everything that he knew would hurt me most emotionally. Commenter 2, pay the rent and then tell the landlord you're not renewing, and to talk to her about her own situation because you moved out. This way there's no harm to your credit or any kind of nonsense to put up with. The minute she threw something I would have been out. Grabbed my stuff of value and just left. Start untangling any finances that are join and leave. You deserve better. I suffer with feelings of not being deserving of love and support due to childhood trauma and I would never treat my wife like this and expect everything to be okay. Commenter 3, classic. She used her therapy as a weapon against you trying to garner empathy and forgiveness, and when that doesn't play out she once again lashes out, proving it was all an act, and she is in fact not sorry for her behavior and isn't learning jack anything in therapy. All manipulation. Good for you, Op, Things will get better. Sorry your valuable got destroyed in the process. It served its purpose by demonstrating how little consideration she has for you. Goat Glass, rest in peace. You've stayed true to yourself and trying to care for other people even when it fell short. Be proud of that, and keep doing it, and you'll find someone who appreciates and reciprocates. Commenter 4, it's just how my brain works. Yeah, okay. She thought that by tossing perfectly good food she could strong-arm you into ordering her a pizza. She's not sorry she did it, she's sorry her little plan didn't work. Sorry for what you went through, man.
My husband and I were childhood sweethearts, but then he confessed his fantasy about me sleeping with other men, and now his friends keep touching me because apparently he gave them permission like I'm some kind of fantasy come true. Posted by u/thrower80176. My husband and I have been married for 14 years, but have known each other since I was 7 and he was 9. We were neighbors, and his family lived just a few blocks away from mine. We were the best of friends growing up, and started dating when I was 13 and he was 15, but broke up when he left for college at 18. During that time, he had the whole college experience, while I focused more on my education and career, so I never really dated anyone. We reconnected when we were 22 and 24 respectively, and have been together ever since. Needless to say, he was more than surprised that I was never with anyone in the 7 years we were apart. It just never felt right. Now I know he's been with several women before, but it never really bothered me. I've pretty much indulged every intimate fantasy he's ever had, as long as he promised that lovemaking was just for us. I told him that all I wanted was a committed and monogamous relationship with him, and it's been that way since. About a month ago, he dropped a bomb. I've always encouraged him to be open and honest with me about anything, but it was still a shocker. Apparently, he's always had this fantasy about me having lovemaking with other guys while he watches. The very thought of this made me violently ill, and I told him that I would never do it. He tried to argue for a bit, but he dropped it, or so I thought. We own several small businesses together, but I've since taken a step back after we had kids. I still help out with management every now and then, though. A few days after that encounter, I came by the office to have lunch with him and help with some paperwork, and I noticed that some of the staff, especially the younger guys, started acting all flirty with me, which I found very inappropriate. I told my husband, but he just shrugged and smiled, saying it was normal because I was attractive. Even when he had a few of his buddies over to watch basketball, one of his friends openly flirted with me in the kitchen while I prepared their snacks. Again, I told my husband, but he just shrugged it off. He never really brought up that fantasy of his directly, but since then he's been casually mentioning how good-looking this person or that person is, almost as if he's trying to set me up with them. Every time I call him out on it, he just says he's not doing anything wrong, and that he's just talking. I'm at the end of my rope. I've always found pride in the fact that I've only ever been with one man. It's always been special to me, and he knows this, but it doesn't seem like he respects that at all. I've always been devoted to him since we were kids, but he doesn't seem to value my commitment and loyalty at all. Every time I try talking to him about it, he says he's already dropped it, yet I always have this gut feeling that the people flirting with me were doing it with his encouragement. Before that, everyone knew how devoted I was. What should I do? I definitely don't want a divorce because I do love him with all my heart, but this whole thing has been driving me crazy. Any advice? Edit to add, I don't want to have lovemaking with other men. I never have, and I probably never will. The very idea makes me sick. I only ever wanted to do it with him because I always believe that lovemaking should be reserved only for someone you love, but I don't really push this narrative to others, that's just me. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Wow. I would not think he told any of his workers anything. I would definitely assume he told his friends to try and bang you. Don't do anything you're uncomfortable with. No judgment here, everyone is different. If he doesn't listen to you, maybe that's the end. Ops response. I think he told the employees because they used to be very respectful of my personal space, and none of them really flirted with me till recently. And yeah, I definitely won't do it. I've always loved to indulge what he likes doing, and I try my best to make him happy and feel loved, but this is a stretch too far. More on the employees and his friends. Yeah, now that I think about it, he is trying to wear me down. I'm not exactly sure what it is he told his employees and friends, though, so it's hard to judge them outright. But yeah, maybe I wasn't being firm enough when I said I won't do it. When told by a downvoted commenter, what's the problem? He wants me to have lovemaking with other men. I don't. Suddenly a lot of guys at work and one of his friends starts flirting with me, and he just acts like it's no big deal. That's a problem for me. When asked if she ever fantasized about other men. I've sometimes had crushes on movie stars, but my husband has always been my number one. Never wanted anyone since I was little, and still don't despite the nonsense. And regarding kinks, trust me, we've tried pretty much everything and still do. I'm not a prude, I just value commitment and monogamy. Update, 1 month later. So it's been a month since I posted, and a lot has happened since, so I figured I'd update you guys now that things have somewhat settled in a way. Here's what happened. A few days after I posted, my husband had his friends over again. As I was making their sandwiches, one of his friends came up behind me and grabbed my waist and started calling me beautiful and gorgeous. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my previous post, but I don't like being touched by others unless I'm close to them. Instinctively, I stabbed him with a butter knife, and while it was dull, I did hit him hard enough to draw a bit of blood. His friend started cursing at me and my husband, who rushed in the room after he heard me scream. His friend kept saying "You said it was okay" over and over. I'm not exactly sure what happened next because after I slapped my husband, I walked right out of the kitchen and locked myself in our room. I've never felt so unloved and disrespected in my entire life. Our kids were at my mother-in-law's house, by the way. I didn't leave there till the next morning and found my husband sleeping on the couch smelling of booze. After he sobered up, we talked. It was long, but to summarize the whole thing. Apparently, a few of his buddies were into wife swapping and sharing them with other men. Swinging is what he called it, if I remember correctly. One just liked sharing his wife with other men. They talked a lot about their intimate adventures, and my husband said he got jealous, and it made him miss his promiscuous past, and he started fantasizing about it. I reminded him of my boundaries, and he said he was so caught up in the fantasy, he didn't think anything else mattered. He said that night was a wake-up call, and for the first time, he was genuinely afraid of losing me. I know he's not lying. I've known him for over 3 decades, so I can easily tell when he's being genuine. I told him how disrespected I felt the last few weeks where people in his life would flirt with me. I told him how miserable it made me feel that he wasn't taking my commitment to him seriously. I told him that as much as I loved him, the sight of him makes me boiling with rage. He said he understands, but that he'll do anything to make it up to me. To make things clear, I'm not mad because of his fantasies. I'm mad at the disrespect he's shown me since his confession, and he has acknowledged this. Long story short, we are currently separated. I just couldn't stand living with him in this moment in time. The kids and I moved out and are now living in his sister's guest house. It's great here, and the kids love being around their cousins and my mother-in-law, who's been living in the guest house since before we moved in. His sister knows the story and is on my side, and his mother just knows that he messed up. I'm in low contact with my husband now. He's in therapy, which is good for him. I'm also in therapy to help deal with what's going on. He has also told me that he cut all contact with his circle of friends, and in the few times I went to the office to drop the kids off to him, no one flirted with me. I still love my husband, so reconciliation is definitely on the table, and neither one of us has brought up divorce yet. He knows what he needs to do and what he needs to work on, and kicking his friends out was a good start. After some time we'll do marriage counseling, but only after I've seen him put in the work. He knows he has to win me back and never take me for granted again. I'm hopeful for our family to be together again, and that I can get my old loving husband back, but at the moment, I'm just trying to hold it together for my kids. This sounded more like a rant, but it's been rather cathartic. Thanks for the advice in my last post, I appreciate every single one of them. Edit, I'm here to clarify a few things. I didn't force him to cut off his friends. It was something I would have brought up once marriage counseling was coming up, but he did so voluntarily. I'm pretty sure my husband never slept with any of their wives. I don't doubt that he wanted to, though. He simply never had the time nor the means to do so. Most of the time, him and his friends hang out at our place. All of his time in the business is accounted for, so he never comes home late nor is he secretive of his phone. He swears up and down that he never slept with anyone else, and I've known him well enough to know he isn't lying. Reconciliation is something that's not guaranteed. He'll have to show me he's changed, or rather he's found his old self again. He'll have to sweep me off my feet again, and I definitely won't make things easy. It's not something that will happen overnight, though, and I still haven't forgiven him yet. It's like I love him and hate him at the same time, if that makes sense. No, we won't be seeing other people. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He gave his friends permission to touch you like you were a pet dog. Yeah, it's okay to pet up. I don't understand how reconciliation is on the table. You deserve better. Op's response. I know I deserve better, which is why we're separated. I know what kind of man he truly is, and I love that version of him more than anything, so I want nothing more than for him to find himself again. Commenter 2. That's just seeing your husband in rose-tinted glasses. This is your husband. He decided that he wanted to try and force you into this open relationship. No one forced him into it, he said it himself, he just got jealous and tried to make you play along with it. What else is he gonna get jealous of and try and force you to do? My boyfriend called me pathetic and grabbed my face because I said something he didn't like, then told me to pack my car and leave, so now I'm literally doing exactly that while he's at work, and the audacity is unmatched. Posted by you/DecayingFigs. This is the email I sent to my therapist this morning, excluding names. I think I need to go back home. My boyfriend got upset with me last night about ridiculous things. Not ridiculous, but his reaction to them was way out of proportion, and then he called me a jerk and pathetic and insulted me and my family and pushed me more than once because he wanted me out of his bed. He grabbed me by my shoulder and face and squeezed me hard because he didn't like something I said. I didn't leave then because I wouldn't have been able to take anything with me, and I think he'd destroy my things if I leave them based off of how mad he was. I feel like I have to walk on eggshells, and have to be careful with what I say, especially when he's upset with me, because according to him it's not the right answer or reason. He told me that if I keep it up we won't make it 2 more weeks. He even told me I should just pack up my car and leave tomorrow, today. This weekend coming down was so stressful, and it was all because of him, yet he says I caused it all. I've given him the benefit of the doubt so many times when he gets upset, but I think I need to leave today. He left for work a few minutes ago. I don't have enough room to take all my stuff, and if I leave especially while he's at work, which seems like the only option because I'm afraid of what he'll do. What I have is what I actually want because I got rid of everything else. I'm going to ask my brother to come down to help me, but his car might not make it. I'm going to ask my friend too if she'd be able to come if my brother can't. I asked her to call me when she wakes up. My brother won't be up until around 9 a.m. probably too. His mom is going to be home all day too, so I don't know how to handle her. I'm afraid she's going to tell him and he'll be mad, but most likely wouldn't be able to leave work, which is over an hour away, but I feel like I'll need to leave fast once I start. I just need you to know this. I have to cancel my exam for this afternoon, and from what it looks like I may be penalized for canceling so late. My head is going in circles, and I now feel like I've been making so many wrong choices leading up to this point. I should have never brought my stuff down here when he threatened the private investigator's stuff. I feel so torn because when everything is good it is so good, but when it's bad it is bad. Mini update 1. My dad is coming to help me right now, he's about 2 hours away right now. His mom saw me loading 2 boxes in my car. She asked me what I was doing, and I just said bringing some things I don't need back to my mom's house. She said something, but I didn't hear it. She's kind of out of it most of the time, so I'm hoping she's not going to think into it too much. I have my boyfriend's location, so I'll know if he is going to come back. I bet he'd call me if he had any thought I was going to leave. Mini update 2. He just texted me saying that I'm perfect and that he loves me. And that he wants to talk to me before my test today. The rest of the message is cut off, and I'm not going to open it because I have red receipts on for him, and I want him to just think I'm asleep still. Mini update 3. I'm home now. I cried the whole 2.5-hour drive home. My dad came and helped me, and I was able to get all my things. His mom made it into a bigger ordeal than it needed to be. I can go into more detail later. I am physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted. Thank you everyone. I already had my mind made up in leaving, but having so much support from strangers on the internet made me feel even more confident. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Alright, take a breath baby girl. You are doing the right thing and moving out. I would say call your brother and friend, don't worry about the time they normally wake up, if they love you they will want to hear from you and help you. Are you financially stable? If so, you can call a moving truck or men with a van. Are you moving back in with your parents? Have you called them? The most important thing is you getting out. But I understand you don't want to lose any of your stuff. Pack your more important stuff into your car now, while you wait to hear back from people who can help, or call movers. Stay strong and determined. Ops response, I'd be moving back into my parents'. My mom already said when I left that I'd always be able to come back home if I needed to. I just finished school a week ago and pretty much don't have any money. Commenter 2, take what will fit. You can take pics of the rest and take him to small claims court if he doesn't return it. But you should probably write it off and cut ties. Can't you make 2 trips? Just get out and be safe. You ignored red flags, so don't be fooled again. Block everywhere and don't engage at all. This is a violent, dangerous, unstable person. Ops response, I can't do 2 trips in one day. My parents live 2.5 hours away from his house. Commenter 3, girl I'm so proud of you. You're listening to your gut and recognizing what's not right and prioritizing yourself. Your work with your therapist is showing and you're using those tools. This internet stranger sees you for that amazing feat. Start moving the important stuff first, then go from there. Anything not fitting and not important will just have to stay. If his mom says anything he did tell you last night to pack up and leave today and you're following his orders. Just move quick and don't stop. And for your sanity, block him and his family on every platform and their emails. Lock that stuff down. You don't need that ever in your life. Ops response, I am afraid he's going to come to my house. Commenter 4, just be prepared for that. Have the police on alert and try to have your brother or your father there at all times. Make sure you do not answer the door. If he comes and won't leave after told to once, call the police. Ops response: my mom runs an in-home daycare too, so maybe I should call the police ahead of time to let them know. Commenter 5, leave today. Email your professor. Let him or her know that you're leaving an abusive situation and ask if you can reschedule the exam. Your professor probably won't ask for proof, but I'd take a picture or two of your packed car to have. Ops response: it is a licensure exam for my career. I tried contacting them and have had no response. Commenter 6, take pictures of everything before you leave. This type of person likes to control the narrative and will probably smash everything up and blame you. Have someone with you who would be happy to formally attest to the fact that you left the place as your photos show. If your name is on the lease, start communicating with the landlord ASAP and ask them to break the lease. Report your boyfriend's behavior to the police. Get a crime number and give this to your landlord, if you have to do that, to evidence the issue you're telling them about. This crime number may come in handy in future, depending on how your ex responds. You may need this to evidence to family or his new partner what happened, etc. If your name is on any of the utilities, same deal. Take your name off ASAP and again evidence the crime number if you have to. If you have any streaming accounts or similar, make sure they're logged out of everywhere, to prevent him gaining access and causing problems or racking up charges. Try and do this in such a way that once you've left the apartment with all your stuff there is nothing else to contact him about. You need to block him on everything. You need a completely clean break and give him zero reason to ever bother you again. You will get through this. Ops response: it was his mom's house, and luckily there are no shared expenses or contracts or anything. I was able to grab everything, but as I'm now realizing, some gift cards and 2 credit cards I don't use. I was able to freeze the credit cards. He has been texting me and it started all about how I'm right and he's sorry and loves me and to give him another chance. That he'll stop drinking. And now it has turned into blaming me only a couple hours later. Update, 2 months later. It's been about 7 weeks since I left. I'm going to give the abridged version because the next 2 weeks after were a lot. I was able to take everything thanks to my dad driving 3 hours down to help me. It was really hard to officially be done. He contacted me multiple times, of course, and tried to make it better. Blamed everything on alcohol. What made everything even more complicated was that I found out I was pregnant. Even though it was horrible timing, I was so excited. I am at a point in my life that I am so ready to have kids. He was the dad, so I felt like he needed to know and be a part of it. He was excited and surprisingly supportive and respected any boundaries I put up at first. My mom was supportive. My brother cried because I was still staying in contact with my ex, and he said he knew he was going to do something bad to me and would wake up in the middle of the night with a bad feeling thinking of me. My ex wanted to act like everything was back to normal. He was upset that I had to tell people what he did to me because now we could just be together. Which is absolutely crazy. He even said he wanted to come up that weekend. I wasn't ready to see him and shut that down pretty fast. It was never going to be whether we got back together or raised a child separately or anything. I ended up having a miscarriage and was devastated. Like my world literally fell apart. I spent 2 days just crying in my bed. My ex literally called me selfish for how I was responding to it and how upset I was. We stayed in contact for 2 days after I miscarried, and on the last day we talked I had gone to the mall with a friend to just get out of the house. I was bleeding a lot, so I was wearing a thick pad and felt like I was in a diaper. What I'm getting at is that I felt gross and uncomfortable. I had a big jacket on and baggy pants. I had told my ex after that I had gone to the mall, and knowing how I was feeling, he asked me if I dressed like I was still someone's girlfriend. He used to say I dressed like a promiscuous woman, which I definitely didn't in any way, and who cares if I did. He said he was going to come up that weekend now, and in that moment I felt like I didn't even have a choice. We talked a bit more and then he ended up getting upset with me about something stupid and hung up on me. I called back saying I was done, and that was it. I blocked him on literally everything from Facebook to Pinterest to his work number. Honestly, everything is amazing now. My friends have been amazing, my family has been amazing, and it is so nice being able to tell people what he did to me our whole relationship. I have a friend who was in an abusive relationship, and I see her in a totally different light. I got my dental hygiene license and started working a few weeks ago, and it has been great. I do feel for my ex because he was the most hurt, insecure man I ever knew, but that gives no excuse for how he treated me. I just wished he would learn from this experience, and I know he won't. But that's not my problem. I am stronger than I ever knew and am so excited for what comes next. Thank you everyone for your support. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, having read your original post in this, I reckon you've had a really lucky escape. I'm sorry you've had to go through a miscarriage, but that's probably saved you from a life trapped in hell, for you and a child. Ops response, I really did. It would 100% have escalated if the relationship continued because it was already building. I've come to terms with the miscarriage. Still incredibly sad about it, but my baby's life ending saved me and my future children for sure. Commenter 2. It's always sad when someone loses a baby, but I always feel like someone stepped in these situations to keep these women safe and not attached to these terrible men for the rest of their lives. I do hope Op gets therapy though, because she just seemed to keep coming back for more even after she ran away in terror of this man. Op's response: in therapy already. I found out I was pregnant 2 days after I left him. And miscarried a week or so after that. It's been 5.5 weeks since I miscarried and last spoke to him. Commenter 3. Congrats on your escape. How did you get a dental hygiene license so fast? Op's response: oh. Didn't realize how unclear that was. I recently graduated from a program in May. I needed to take my law and ethics exam, which was the test I had right before I left him. Since I left him, I've taken the test and officially have my license now. I had 4 years of school, including a 2-year of prerequisites and 2 for the program. My husband asked me to give up all my birthday presents for his Vegas trip, then demanded we bring our baby so his friends could meet her, but now I'm the one giving up everything while he can't even handle a diaper change without his mommy's help. Posted by you/helpmeowtplease. My husband, 20M, and I, 18F, got married when I was 17, partly because I was pregnant and partly because we were madly in love. Our daughter Candace, 1, is the best, cutest, funniest toddler I've ever seen. I may be biased. He dropped out of college to get a full-time job as a line cook, and he's really good at it. I am currently going to college fully covered thanks to my scholarships. He's done irrational things in the past, such as buying a $1,700 new computer and then complaining about having no money. He's disrespected me in the past, by ignoring my opinions and swearing at me. But I've never been angrier than I am right now. Reddit: my husband asked me a couple months ago to give up all of my future birthday presents and instead ask for plane tickets to Evo. I was a little miffed, but I understood why he wanted to go as his friend lives in Vegas and was going too. So I said sure. Yesterday, we were talking about the plans and he said that we were bringing Candace with us. I told him that I didn't think it was a good idea, as I've flown with her several times to visit my parents in New England and I know how rough it is. I also told him that it wouldn't be as enjoyable for me if she came, as I am her primary caretaker, and I didn't want to spend our vacation doing what I normally do except in Vegas. He got really mad at me, saying that he just wanted his friend and friend's family to meet her. Later, when we were having dinner at my mother-in-law's, who I love very much, she asked if Candace was staying with her during our trip. He said no, we're bringing her to meet our friends. I told him that I really didn't want to do that, and my mother-in-law said something like, "Won't you have more fun with just the 2 of you?" At which he got upset and said that they really wanted to meet her and that we should shut up. He also had put off changing Candace's diaper before we came to dinner and made his mother do it. She did not want Candace to suffer just because he didn't want to do it. Those 2 things combined made me incredibly angry, but I don't know what to do about it. He's done the diaper thing before, but this time it just seemed so incredibly self-centered. Mini update: just brought him dinner in the hopes that he'd be in a good mood when it finished so we could talk, and he got mad at me for not having cut the chicken on his salad into small enough pieces. I stood my ground, in a way, by saying I don't want to pick out all of the chicken and cut it smaller. If I get you a knife, would that be okay? And he said, "What the heck, I'm busy right now and you can't do this for me? I don't want it anymore, just throw it away." This isn't uncommon, but he just seems so mad, and I haven't even tried to talk about it yet. Do you think he feels bad about yesterday or is he just cranky from work? Mini update 2. He apologized for yelling at me and we sat down and talked. I used some of the lines from the comments, and he said that Candace doesn't have to come with us but it would make him a little sad. I then sat down and started looking at images on my tablet and he sat next to me, but he got angry again when I scrolled too fast and he couldn't read something over my shoulder. I responded that I was reading it, not him, and he yelled that we were supposed to be spending time together. This is why I usually get steamrolled by him during arguments, because he starts getting mad and swearing at the weirdest thing and I just want him to stop getting upset. But hey, he said that it's okay if Candace stays home, and that's what I came here for. Mini update 3. Wow, this blew up overnight. Okay, let me clarify a couple things I saw mentioned in the comments. Yes, he is like this sometimes, but the rest of the time he is a good husband and father. He does change some diapers, but has a tendency to push it on someone else if he can, which I don't usually get mad about. It's that he made her sit in the car like that after promising to change her, as I had dealt with a particularly nasty blowout that morning. He always apologizes if he yells. I just don't like the yelling and swearing in the first place, which I've told him. As to the chicken cutting, he's told me in the past to do that, I just forgot to cut it smaller this time and I think he got mad because he's told me it before. We have been to a marriage counselor, but he said that it didn't really do anything for him and that it wasn't worth the time or money. I'm talking to my older sister right now, and I've shown her this thread. I might show my mother-in-law, she and I are very close. Mini update 4. I talked to my sister and a close friend of mine. Both said that they have seen similar things happen while at my house, but they didn't think it was appropriate to speak up about it. They also advised me to show this to my mother-in-law, which I will do tonight. My friend has also said that if I need a place to stay, I can stay with her as she has a spare bedroom. I'm talking to both and then my mother-in-law to decide what to say to him about all of this, and it's going to end with essentially we will need to work through this together or in individual counseling, or I'm going to go live with my friend until you've decided. Thanks for the support, everyone. I didn't realize that this kind of behavior wasn't normal, or at least I thought it was balanced out by the good times. I'll update on Friday after I've talked to him. Husband tells me to ask family for tickets instead of presents, wants to bring daughter just to introduce her to friends while I think I'll spend the whole vacation taking care of her as usual. Also puts off changing baby until he can get his mom to do it instead. How do I get him to change her diapers and his mind? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Reddit, my husband asked me a couple months ago to give up all of my future birthday presents and instead ask for plane tickets to Evo. I was a little miffed, but I understood why he wanted to go as his friend lives in Vegas and was going too. So I said sure. Why did you say sure to this? Do you not understand how selfish and childish that was of him to ask? Hey babe, can we not celebrate your birthday so I can go on vacation with my friends? What? He's a father, he needs to stop buying the expensive computers, needs to get his butt back in school, and IT can be for culinary if he's good at IT, and he needs to grow up. You don't tell someone to shut up after asking such a big favor. So he let your child have a dirty diaper on for a while because he wanted his mommy to do that? Are you kidding me? You need to have a talk with him and his mother because she's enabling this too and this stuff has to stop. Ops response, he's going back to school soon, but I'm a little worried that I'll still be doing all of the housework and taking care of the baby even when we are both in school. Edit, I asked his mom not to change the diaper at the time and she said that she didn't want Candace to suffer because of his unwillingness to change it. Commenter 2, your husband is very young and has a lot of growing up to do. He's asked an enormous favor of you, one which I would never have agreed to. But having said that, if the trip goes ahead, I would strongly advise against taking your baby, especially since she has loving grandparents to take care of her. Candace won't enjoy herself, will very likely be miserable because she won't be in her usual routine, and she doesn't care at all about meeting your husband's friends. Worse will be that you, who've given up your future birthday presents, won't get to enjoy the grown-up things that Las Vegas has to offer. Please, if the trip goes ahead, insist that in this instance your husband gives in and agrees to leave your baby behind. He shouldn't get his own way 100% of the time, you're in a partnership. Ops response, I completely agree with everything you said about Candace, she would be much happier at home with the people she knows. I've been trying to tell him that I don't want to bring her for that and other reasons, i.e., I don't want to do the norm but in Vegas. He just doesn't seem to understand why I feel that way. Commenter 3, no. If he wants plane tickets, he can work extra hours instead of having you give up all of your future presents. And by the way, you are also a parent of the child so you get a say in where she goes and what she does. Especially since you're taking care of the child more than him. If he wants his friends to meet your baby, they can come to you. Commenter 4, everything about this. You're the wife and mother, not housemaid and baby factory. You are 50% of the relationship, you get 50% say, he gets 50% say. Stop letting him make the decisions. Ops response, I feel like a live-in maid sometimes, he just doesn't seem to listen to anything I say. He used to split the chores with me but that stopped a long time ago. Every time I try to give input on big decisions, he's steamrolled over me to the point where I don't think it's worth it to argue. The only time I've changed his mind is when he told me not to visit my parents for a visit that was scheduled 2 months in advance, because he said he would be lonely. And I think he only let me go because my parents bought no refund tickets. I'm not going to be a baby factory, though. I had an IUD put in as soon as possible after giving birth. Update 1, 9.5 months later. I-19F, with my soon-to-be ex-husband, 21M, giving up my birthday presents for vacation follow-up. Well, it's been a while, but I feel like I should give you guys an update because of how drastically you've changed my life. I'm getting a divorce. I'll give a quick summary of the past few months. We started marriage counseling, and I began to realize exactly how selfish of a person he is. The therapist asked, "What is the biggest problem you're having with your partner?" To each of us. His response? "Well, I really don't like it when she fact-checks me. It makes me angry because it seems like she doesn't trust me." My response was, "I do not feel respected. He does not see us as equals and I can't continue being his emotional punching bag," which was a line from one of the comments, "Thanks guys." She told him after a month or so of sessions that he needed to seek individual therapy for his emotional instability, because he kept lying and contradicting himself to the therapist. What's the point of going if you pretend everything's fine and dandy? About October, I told him that I couldn't continue the relationship. He was getting more and more aggressive and even punched a hole through our wall. He started throwing things and his fuse was incredibly short. So I told him I was done. It wasn't healthy for me, it wasn't healthy for our daughter. Skipping ahead a bit to my current situation, I have moved up with my parents. Divorce papers were filed about a month ago now, and luckily he agreed to all of the things we discussed. I'm very glad there was no conflict on that front, but his mom is a divorce lawyer, so she wouldn't have let him mess around. Candace is very happy because she gets to play with her grandpa anytime she wants. He's a stay-at-home parent. I don't really have any connections here other than my parents and brother, but that's okay. I feel so much happier just being away from him. Now I've just got to find a job. I left him, and the divorce is making its way through the courts. Candace and I are quite liking New England, and I'm staying with my parents to build savings. Wish me luck with the job hunt. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I remember when you posted this. Congratulations on school and you'll do great with the job search. What happened with your mother-in-law? Vegas never fell through? Ops response, mother-in-law ended up watching her after all, thank goodness. Oh, and I found a surprising ally in his best friend's wife. She pulled me aside at one point while I was there, Vegas, and said, does he always act like this? We had a few long talks about relationship problems and she helped give me a big boost in confidence. Commenter 2, oh thank God. I remember you. I'm so glad you stood up for yourself. He's absolutely deplorable. Ops response, I really hope that he finds his own way eventually. I think he had a lot of issues that he never bothered to confront. Thank you for the support. Commenter 3, I remember your post, so glad you are out of that situation. Good luck with everything up, and may you never cut up chicken for an adult male again. Ops response, thanks for the laugh, the only person I'll be cutting chicken for from now on is Candace. Commenter 4, I'm glad that you got yourself and your daughter out of that situation. Given that he was throwing things around and punching walls, it's very likely that he would have later become physically abusive, so it's great that you put a stop to things before they escalated further. Good luck on the job hunt. I hope things work out for you. Ops response, once he punched the hole, I lost so much more respect for him. As an adult man, to do that just to intimidate your wife? Absolutely unacceptable. Thank you for the well wishes. Commenter 5, I just wanted to say how much I admire your will and tenacity. It takes some people years of abuse before they can't take anymore, and you're so clear about where things could lead and so well informed that you won't let it get there. Your daughter is lucky to have you as a parent. Ops response, thank you for that. I think it really helps that my own parents have a wonderful relationship dynamic. Whereas my ex-husband grew up with a dad who cheated on his mom, and generally treated her poorly. His mom just pushed it under the rug until her kids graduated high school. I saw both sides, and I decided not to replicate his parents' relationship. Ops response on the custody plan for her daughter. I am the primary custodian. He gets her in the summer and we split the holidays. Monetarily, we had nothing to split. To be honest, the I'm taking the kids approach can actually be good for children in the long run if the other parent is abusive. So that's an interesting generalization you're dropping. Update 2, 8.5 months later. I'm back with a tangentially related problem from last time. I moved away from my ex 1 year ago today, and he still hasn't finalized the parenting plan proceedings, so I haven't received a cent from him of child support. I'm going down in December to finish it, so that's not the main issue. The main issue is that I'm very, very tired. I work a full-time job up where I live now, live with my parents, and watch my daughter every day when she's awake and I'm not working. Childcare would cost 2/3 of my paycheck, which I can't afford without child support. I love my daughter so much, but I never planned on having kids. I had her because I was scared and a pushover, and I don't necessarily regret that. But I'm so tired. I feel awful even thinking about this, but I'm seriously considering switching roles with her dad and having him become her primary caretaker. I have no issue with paying child support, and I know his mom, a literal angel, will be there to help watch her and make sure she grows up well. I'm so conflicted, because I know that I'm most likely a better parent than her dad. And it sounds horrible to knowingly put her in a position like that. Help. Very stressed and overwhelmed being a single parent with no child support. Considering switching roles with her less reliable father, feeling awful about it. Relevant comments. Up on the possibilities of open adoption. Open adoption would not be an option, as her father still has parental rights and would absolutely not give them up. I honestly hadn't considered the career aspect. Doing this really would give me the chance to complete my degree. I already have 2 years under my belt. I appreciate the thought that went into your comment, thank you. Up on why she isn't splitting custody with her ex-husband. We are. But I moved from the south to the northeast to be with my parents. And he still lives in the south. So he takes her for 3 weeks or so every couple months. Commenter 1, I wonder if you might consider seeing a therapist. This sounds a little like PPD or a more general form of depression. I also will say, it is okay to not love parenting. It is hard. It's also okay to not be coping and consider your options. Just because you are a mother doesn't mean you have to give up other parts of yourself. Ops response, I have been diagnosed with PPD and am currently taking medication for it. Commenter 2, can you enlist help from his mom in finding other childcare solutions? If you two are on good terms, she cares for her grandchild, and her son isn't paying child support, could she kick in some so that you could at least have an occasional babysitter? Could she help you research lower-cost options in your area? Ops response, she's not very well off financially, so that isn't really an option. I've been looking at other local options and so has my family. He and his family are not nearby, as mentioned in another comment. His father's family is well off, but they wouldn't send me any financial help, though they would provide for my daughter if her father was the primary caregiver. Commenter 3, my advice would be to hold out until the child support comes through in December and make your decisions then. If the pressure doesn't let up, then start considering your options. But you're very tired and stressed at the moment, so I think if you can just get a little help financially so you can get childcare and some regular breaks from your daughter, you might start feeling better. Are your parents willing to watch her also? Maybe a day and a sleepover with them on the weekend? Ops response, they do watch her while I'm at work, and she's a very energetic child, so she wears them out to the point where they're already run down when I get back from work. I can't really ask any more of them. I thought my coworker was just being friendly until he started comparing me to characters in spicy scenes, then sent midnight texts about finding where I live, but my boyfriend decided I was the problem and called me low value. Guess I found out who the real trash was. Posted by you/lucky_explorer_177. Okay, so my 26F boyfriend, 37M, of 9 months and I have just had a big fight, and now I'm home alone and seeking advice from strangers, I guess. I'm going through a bit of an ordeal at work where a male colleague became slightly obsessive with me. It started with me just thinking he was being nice, but it seems to have accelerated very quickly. We had hardly any contact until he was moved into my team, and quickly became friends as he liked a lot of the same things as me, favorite TV shows, musicians, etc. After a few months, I did notice him make some odd comments about my boyfriend, who he's never met but seen on my Instagram, things like I wouldn't picture you with someone like him, or we'll see how long that lasts, and he's the kind of guy that'll hurt you in the end. I thought he was being very assumptive, but didn't think anything of it. Maybe that's my fault. Then the flirting started, or what I think he thought was flirting, where he would compliment me in really specific odd ways like the way I walked or how nice I smelled. Some of the comments became quite intimate, so I started backing away from him, but as we're in the same team they continued and just got more bizarre. He'd compare me to characters in the shows we both watched but would reference specific lovemaking scenes and how I would do it so much better. Very gross, very inappropriate, I know, but I've never been one to cause a scene or get anyone into trouble, so instead thought I'd just tell him straight that he was making me uncomfortable and he needed to stop. This was yesterday, and he did not take it well, shouting at me, in the office, that I had no idea what the heck I was talking about and soon I'd get it, not sure what he meant by that. He was told to go for a walk and cool off by our team leader. When he returned about 20 minutes later, he immediately apologized and said he had some things going on outside of work and assured me it'd never happen again. He even thanked me for raising how I felt and said that he'd never do anything to make me uncomfortable again. This morning I woke up to the longest string of messages I've ever received. It was sent at 1 a.m. and started by him saying that he was in love with me and we were meant to be together. The messages then range from creepy compliments to saying he was going to find out where I live. One part literally reads, I was put on this earth for you and you only, there is no other option. I won't bore everyone with putting in the whole text, as this post is already too long, but there are some things that I found very threatening. I called my manager this morning and said I wouldn't be coming into work and that I needed to formally complain about him. She was understanding, and we had a long Teams call and started the process with HR, etc. So, now my boyfriend's response. This morning when I showed him the message, he was supportive and insisted I don't go to work and stay at his. He wanted to call off work too and call the police, but I said I just wanted to focus on informing work today, etc. and think about how to proceed. However, when he came back from work today, his attitude seemed to have completely changed. He said he thought it was messed up that I didn't go to the police and that he thinks I have feelings for this colleague. When I assured him that is not the case, he told me that guys don't write messages like that if there's nothing behind it and that I must have been at least leading this guy on for him to end up acting so irrationally. The more I tried to defend myself, the more irate he got, and he started saying that he hated how I acted so innocent all the time when he knows deep down I'm a jerk and that he should have known I was a low-value woman. He's never ever called me things like that before, and it was so upsetting. Beyond that, he ended up asking me to leave, so now I've had to come back to my flat when I'm feeling pretty vulnerable and a little scared. For context, I got with my boyfriend quite quickly after I moved to the country I'm now living in, so my only friends are his friends, all my family and friends are back in my home country, so nowhere else to go. I really think that what has happened is not my fault, and I'm incredibly disappointed with his reaction, especially when for the past few weeks I've told him how uncomfortable this guy has been making me, etc., so he's been kept informed. However, I think it's important to note for context that he was previously cheated on by his ex-fiancée, so I know that any hint of cheating is a big trigger for him, which may explain his reaction. So, do I break up with him? Sorry for the dragged-out tale, but wanted people to have all the context. And a bit of a rant, to be honest, as I don't want to tell my family all this, it'll just worry them considering they are so far away. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Please go to the police about your coworker. I think you are underreacting to the danger he poses to your safety. His obsessive behavior is really scary, and it sounds like it will only escalate. As for your boyfriend, the low-value woman comment seems like he has been red-pilled. At the heart of his outbreak is probably fear and concern, but it's really troubling that he is taking it out on you. This might be a good time to leave and visit home, but not without first filing a police report. You are definitely in danger, and stalkers don't take no lightly. Ops response. Thanks for your advice. I think you're right with the whole red pill thing, and I think I know exactly who he must have spoken to yesterday to have come back with that stuff. Just very confusing when he's never indicated thinking that way himself before. I'm going to see if he reaches out to talk, but nothing so far. As for the coworker, I've stayed home again today but have an in-person meeting later with my manager and HR as they've opened an investigation. I've blocked my colleague on everything, which I think some comments said was a bad idea but I didn't realize, so haven't heard anything from him, but that almost is making me more nervous and paranoid. A work friend is going to come over later to talk about involving the police, etc. Thanks again for taking the time to comment, it's really appreciated. Update, 4 months later. Quite delayed, it's been a journey, but I had some lovely concerned messages so wanted to post a quick update. Thank you for everyone's comments and messages. You were all bang on, and I'm so glad to say I am out of this situation. Boyfriend update, he came back apologizing, as many of you predicted he would. He confirmed my assumption that he had spoken to a specific friend that day who had gotten him riled up on the idea that it's always the girls who seem innocent that aren't, and that I had clearly been cheating with his coworker. At first he did pretty well at apologizing and taking accountability on the phone, but when we met up I could see he was still angry at me for some reason. Turns out he felt abandoned by me because I wasn't the first to reach out after the fight. That's when I knew it was over, and I couldn't forgive him. How he was making this situation about himself still blows my mind. I left him, received some more red pill abuse and have heard nothing since. Good riddance. Stalker update, things got a little scary. I returned to work while he was suspended under investigation. Only 1 week later I had gone out for dinner, and when I returned home he was standing outside my apartment building. It was dark, and he was wearing a hoodie, so I didn't realize it was him until I got close enough to see his face. I completely froze, and for a second I stupidly thought he was going to apologize and beg not to get him fired or something, but instead he said he'd missed me. I have no idea how this man found out where I live, but I think he is very unwell. I backed away into the street, but he grabbed me into a hug or something, not totally sure of his intentions. Luckily some passersby heard me shouting for him to get off and intervened, forcibly had to get him to let go. He then ran away. I finally went to the police and started the process of getting a restraining order. Even after this, I received intimate explicit emails from weird email addresses and requests from newly made Instagram accounts. I have since deleted and remade all accounts. After this experience, I have moved back to my home country. I wish I'd been brave enough to stay, but I was honestly living in fear, not to be dramatic, and just didn't have the support of friends and family that I needed. Anyway, just wanted to thank all you strangers again that made me feel justified in my feelings. I really have learned a valuable lesson to raise the alarm when you feel threatened, and truly hope none of you have to go through this experience. Also, if someone loves you they should never abandon you in times of crisis. Stay safe out there. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm so sorry you encountered such toxic people, felt threatened, abandoned, and terrified. It's awful what they put you through. You are incredibly brave for setting boundaries and sticking to them in such situations. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is that you stood up for yourself and took action. That can be particularly difficult at work and in a romantic relationship where they seem to have been a huge part of every aspect of your life in a new country. Please know you are a strong woman for identifying what you need and what is important to you, then following through with the big life changes to make it happen. I hope you feel loved, safe, and supported. Ops response. Thank you so much, I really appreciate this. It's been hard to recognize myself as strong when I feel like I ran away, but I really believe it was the best choice for me. And to be honest, I'm just so happy to be home. I hope all the best for you too. Final comment from Op. Thank you to everyone for your comments. I've showed my mom and you've all made her cry. This was her first introduction to Reddit, so now she wants to make an account. It's crazy how much comfort all of you have brought me in feeling justified for leaving. Thank you again, and hope all the best in the world to all of you. My daughter asked if her serious boyfriend could visit, and I was excited to meet him. And when we saw this middle-aged man at the airport, I wanted to scream, but now she's engaged to someone who already cheated on her and is having his child. Posted by you/practical by 3266. My 48F, husband, 46M, and I have a 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who is currently on vacation from college. About 5 months or so ago, Ellie told us that she had a new boyfriend, who I'll call Tom. This came rather out of the blue as Ellie hadn't mentioned seeing anyone or that she was dating, but both my husband and I were supportive and happy for her. However, Ellie was strangely secretive about the whole situation. Usually, she's an open book, especially with me, and would always share details of her personal life. On this occasion, she wouldn't show any pictures, and we knew next to no information about Tom, other than that they met at a party through a mutual friend. Ellie spent the past month of her vacation in her college town, and the plan was always for her to come back this weekend. Ellie asked if she could bring Tom with her for a few days of the trip as they were getting serious, and she wanted him to meet us. Although we mentioned that we knew barely anything about him, Ellie expressed that it would be a surprise and that we'd love him. Given he's clearly an important part of our daughter's life, we agreed and said we'd look forward to spending the weekend together. Yesterday morning, we went to pick up Ellie and Tom from the airport to drive them to our place, and we were shocked. We knew instantly that Tom was much older than Ellie, and he certainly wasn't a college student. I was just in a state of surprise but didn't want to cause a scene, and told my husband to do the same. We drove home, but it was a frosty journey, which Ellie commented on. When we arrived, my husband point-blank asked Tom how old he was. Tom said he was 44. I was immediately disgusted. He's only 2 years younger than my husband and old enough to be Ellie's father. My husband continued to interrogate him, asking how they met and the whole background. Ellie explained that it was at a party and Tom was there because he's well known around the town, and then they realized they had a lot in common and hit it off from there. I really didn't want to hear any more, and my husband told Tom to leave. Ellie shouted and said how unfair this was and we hadn't even given Tom a chance and that he made her happy. Tom could sense the tension, so left and Ellie followed behind him. I texted Ellie to tell her we'd love to see her and to come over to discuss the situation. She asked if Tom was welcome, and I said he wasn't. Therefore, after labeling me a judgmental jerk, she told me she wasn't coming and that they would be staying at a local hotel and catching up with friends. I feel terrible about the whole situation and don't want to lose my daughter over it. My husband isn't budging and says he'd have to be held back if he ever saw that man again. Am I the jerk for saying he isn't welcome, or have I done the right thing? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I had similar, and my foster dad was what I believed amazingly chill about me dating a guy in his mid-30s when I was 19. I spoke to him over a decade later and he said he wanted to deck the guy, but knew if he pushed me then I'd dig my heels in and the relationship would go on far longer. Instead, he asked me to check in so he knew where I was and when I'd be back to make sure I was safe. He did, however, do other things to gently highlight the inequality of the relationship. For example, he'd make sure to say how nice I looked every time I left the house. The boyfriend would send me back to the house for not wearing makeup or the right clothes. It didn't take too long for me to put 2 and 2 together and realize the boyfriend was a control freak who wanted a trophy girlfriend. Commenter 2, NTA. He was at a college party because he's well known around town? That means he's well known for preying on younger women and probably also for buying alcohol for underage college students. Commenter 3, play the long game here. Best story I have heard, the dad befriended the guy. They talked about stuff relevant to their age group, did dad age stuff together, talked about things like insurance and retirement and house payments, went out to eat at boring grown-up places instead of sports bars, and just generally acted like middle-aged men. She realized she was basically dating her father, they had almost nothing in common, and broke up. Commenter 4, NTA former cop. Advocate. I would suggest you don't give her a reason to distance herself further from you and your husband, because Tom needs to stop your support and brainwash her to think you are against her and you're not. I encourage you to not exclude him. You can get together somewhere public so he's not in your home, but you aren't letting him keep your daughter away while you navigate this precarious situation. All the best. Update 1, next day. First off, I wanted to thank everyone for their comments and messages yesterday. I was overwhelmed with the responses and didn't expect my post to gain so much attention. I know opinions were quite split, but I appreciate everyone for being honest. Please accept my apologies for not responding to anyone, but there has been a lot on my mind, so I thought it would be best to provide an update for those interested. For those who haven't read the whole post, A brief summary is my 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, brought home her boyfriend of 5 months, Tom, to our house. Tom happens to be 44, and my husband and I told Tom that he wasn't welcome in our home. Ellie and Tom are currently staying in a nearby hotel. I was incredibly down throughout most of Sunday, so I spoke to my husband and said that I really wanted to see Ellie. However, I knew that wouldn't be possible without also seeing Tom, so I mentioned to my husband about meeting Ellie and Tom at a neutral location for brunch today. I asked my husband if he wanted to join, but he said he didn't feel in the right frame of mind at this stage, so we agreed that I would go alone. I was anxious throughout the drive, but when I met Ellie, those nerves subsided relatively quickly. I was generally just happy to see her and that she was well. I still felt a bit uncomfortable around Tom, but I thought this was the opportunity to find out more about him and his intentions, as it were. We sat down and I tried to find out as much information about Tom as possible. When I asked him to elaborate on being known around a college town and being at the same party as Ellie, Tom said he used to go to the same college when he was Ellie's age, loved the place, and decided to never leave. Throughout his time, he still frequented the main bars and places that college students do, which meant he remained in the community in some form. I found it quite an unsettling response but remained polite. In terms of other details I learned, Tom has never been married, nor does he have any children. He works as a software engineer and enjoys cooking and meditation in his spare time. Something felt off about him, but maybe I already had my preconceptions. Ellie spoke more about what a good match they were and how much in common they had. When I asked her to elaborate, she spoke about how they both loved the same spots around town and campus, with apparently the same love of sushi, and she's never met someone so mature and understanding. Tom also said that Ellie was perfect for him and he was serious. I probed if he'd had many other relationships with younger women. Ellie didn't enjoy this question, but Tom said that he generally didn't do relationships, yet something about Ellie had drawn him in. Eventually, after about 2 hours, we ended the brunch. Ellie said how nice it had been and she was so happy I had shown an interest in Tom before asking whether they could both come to dinner some evening. I told her that would be nice, but I would have to speak to her dad. Tom shook my hand, and that was that. My husband remains reluctant, but I feel it's the right thing to do if we want to maintain a relationship with Ellie. I didn't like Tom off first impressions, and this hasn't done much to convince me. Something is just off there, and some of his answers solidified my thoughts about him not being right for Ellie. I suppose I'll have to remain open-minded but appreciate any thoughts. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, please make sure she's on reliable birth control. Commenter 2, it would be best to get some background checks done on this man. There could be a lot of lies involved, he sounds sketchy enough already. Commenter 3, wonder if Op could call the college and ask if he is known there? Maybe get a gauge on him if he is. Commenter 4, I appreciate how hard you both protect your daughter. But at the end of the day, she is an adult and she can't make her own mistakes if she feels pressure from you guys to make decisions. Thing is, if she keeps pushing away because you guys are reluctant to let her be an adult all on her own, she won't come to you when she needs help either. If this guy ends up being a bad guy and she needs someone to be there for her, why would she come to you if she feels as though she's just going to be shamed? I would say an entirely different spiel if she was, say, 16 or 17. But she's an adult in college learning her way around this world, and she's gonna need support in controlling her own life without you directly deciding what she can and can't do. You said she was secretive about it from the jump, and that tells me she knew your reaction. It's time to show her you can be a supportive friend when she needs you instead of an unsupportive parent. This was a good first step. Update 2, 1 week later. First off, apologies to everyone for not updating sooner and my lack of replies. I post and read everyone's replies and messages, but it's so overwhelming that I struggle to know who to respond to. However, a lot has happened in the past week and enough people asked for an update, so I thought I would provide one. For context, for those who haven't read the original post and first update, my 20-year-old daughter Ellie brought home her boyfriend, Tom, from college for the first time. He turned out to be 44, and it's been a huge shock to my husband and I. I met him, without my husband and my daughter, for brunch without feeling entirely comfortable about the situation, but my biggest priority is not losing my daughter. After I came home from brunch, I spoke to my husband about the possibility of Tom and Ellie joining us for dinner one evening. My husband was completely against it, but I told him that if we still wanted to exercise some degree of control over the situation before we pushed Ellie away entirely, this was something we had to agree to. It took a lot of convincing, but my husband agreed and we invited Tom and Ellie to come round the Saturday just gone. Before then, I ended up talking to my oldest daughter and Ellie's sister, Holly, 23F, about the situation. Holly was shocked and Ellie had told her nothing. Holly decided to do some social media digging but struggled because Tom didn't have much of an online presence. She said she was coming to dinner on Saturday. Although I was reluctant because it seemed like it would spiral, I eventually said yes. So, we get to the dinner on Saturday and Holly just continually grills Tom. It was far, Far worse than I did. She asked him if younger girls were his type, why someone his age is still hanging around at college parties, and other small remarks. Ellie told her multiple times to leave her alone, and I tried to act as a mediator. My husband was just silently seething, and I could tell how uncomfortable he felt in Tom's presence. Eventually, Tom and Ellie said they had some big news to share. Ellie announced that she and Tom were planning to move in together for the upcoming college year. I almost spat my drink out. Ellie had planned to live with other friends, and when I questioned this, Tom answered that he realized that he probably won't have another long-term relationship. Ellie makes him so happy, and he doesn't want to waste any time with who I want to be my wife and the future mother of my children. At this point, my husband lost it and told Tom to get out of his house. Tom stood up and seemed affronted, and Ellie started crying. I couldn't remember the last time my husband had shouted like that, and I think it surprised Ellie. Holly said it was deserved and said she needed to get away from the pedo freak. It all ended up with Ellie leaving in tears with Tom, my husband going upstairs, and I was just inconsolable. I've reached out to Ellie since, but she hasn't responded. I don't want her to move in with Tom, and it seems he's trying to derail her whole life. She's 20 and does not need to be married and have kids, especially with someone his age. She's never had a relationship before though, and she appears infatuated to the extent she's not going to listen. My husband has told me that if Ellie marries Tom, that is it, and he wouldn't want a relationship with her going forwards. I can't agree with that and will always love Ellie, but it doesn't mean that the whole situation hasn't made me incredibly sad. I would appreciate any advice. Update 3, 1 year later. About a year ago, I posted on here about my then 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who had started dating a 44, now 45-year-old man named Tom. For those who haven't seen it and want to read, I have shared the original post and the 2 updates. So much has happened since then that has been so overwhelming that it caused me to completely forget about this. However, I stumbled upon this Reddit account earlier today, and due to the amount of messages I received, I feel compelled to share an update. For those who don't want to read the whole post, the long and the short of it is Ellie is engaged and pregnant. The engagement happened around January, after only around a year of dating, and the pregnancy was announced in March. Ellie is keeping the baby and is due late this year. I'm still heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with the whole affair. Ellie was so bright, cheery, and with an active social life. Now she lives with Tom in her college town, despite having dropped out of college herself due to the pregnancy, with barely any friends due to most of them distancing themselves from her because of Tom. My husband is also low contact with Ellie and wants nothing to do with Tom, while my daughter Holly also feels the same way and wants nothing to do with Ellie or her baby for as long as she remains with the predator. I still keep in contact with Ellie as much as I can, not only because I love her but also as I know that if things crumble, she'll have no one to turn to. She's ostracized herself, which makes me incredibly sad, and I never thought things would turn out this way. There was a glimmer of hope around March time, where Ellie called me on the phone in tears after discovering that Tom had cheated on her, unsurprisingly, with another college student, and an even younger one than Ellie. Although I did try and talk some sense into her and figured this would be a wake-up call, she decided to stay with him after a combination of love bombing and finding out she was pregnant. The wedding has been set for next summer, so the baby can be focused on now. My husband and other daughter have already decided they won't go, and many others on my side of the family are uncomfortable with the idea. I'm trying to stay strong and hope I will love my grandchild, but this isn't something that will ever get easier. If there are any other groundbreaking updates, I will try to share. If not, I appreciate everyone's support and advice. It really meant more than you know. I kept my sister's ring for 7 years after she died, then my brother secretly took it to propose with, and when his fiancée found out the truth, she dumped him, so now my whole family thinks I ruined his marriage over being weird about my sister. Posted by u/classicamphibian963. My sister passed when I was like 6 and she was 17. We weren't super close or anything, but I still remember little bits of her. Her laugh, how she always painted her nails, her posters. She was like this perfect angel to my mum after she passed. I barely remember the funeral. When I was like 12, I found this old ring in her stuff. Nothing fancy, just a silver ring with a small stone. It fit me, and I don't know why, but I kept it. It wasn't some big dramatic thing, I didn't steal it or anything, I just took it and started keeping it. I didn't wear it loads or flaunt it, just had it in this little box, and sometimes I'd look at it when I missed her. It kinda became this one thing that felt like mine, like my piece of her. So anyway, last weekend, I, 19F, had lunch with my parents, 55M and 53F, and my brother, 27M, brings his girlfriend who everyone knew he was gonna propose to. And yeah, he stands up, does the big speech, and pulls out the ring. My sister's ring. The one I've kept for like 7 years. I literally froze. His girlfriend starts crying, people are clapping, I'm just sat there like what the heck. I look at my mum, and she just smiles at me like nothing happened. After dinner, I asked her was that the ring, and she's like yeah, your brother asked me and Dad, and we said it was fine. She said it was sweet and symbolic, and my sister would have wanted it passed down or whatever. And I was like, it was never yours to give though? Like I've had it for years? And she just goes, oh come on, it's just a ring, don't be dramatic. But like when I had it, it wasn't just a ring. So yeah, I kinda snapped. Waited till people were outside and told my brother I wanted it back. He laughed at first, then was like no, what the heck, and I said okay, well then I'll tell your girlfriend where it came from and let her decide. He got mad, said I was ruining his proposal and making it about me like always. My mum dragged me into the kitchen saying everyone noticed I wasn't happy and that I left halfway through dinner. Yeah, because I was crying in the bathroom like? Dad tried to calm it down, but my brother kept going on about how selfish I was and that I'd been weird about my sister for years. I didn't even say anything, I just left early and haven't spoken to any of them since. Mum rang me yesterday saying have I calmed down and am I ready to say sorry, and I said not really, and she hung up. My cousin texted me later saying it was actually super messed up and she doesn't blame me, but I don't know. I probably could have handled it better, but I just felt so blindsided. It's not even about the stupid ring, it's just like they acted like it didn't matter to me. Like I didn't matter. So yeah. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. How did he even get the ring? It's not a family heirloom because that's his sister. He probably just found an easier way to propose to his girlfriend without paying anything. Honestly, the whole situation is weird. Of all the rings in the world, why this one? Op's response, well, I often leave it in a small unlocked box. It's an inexpensive ring, but it is extremely pretty, and if someone proposed to me with that ring without knowing the context, I would be quite happy. Commenter 2, not the jerk. I'm sorry for both of your losses. The only way you are going to get it back is to tell the fiancé, but it will probably mean ruining your relationship with your brother and causing more stress in your relationship with your mother. Op's response, I feel like such a jerk for telling her though, like I've just ruined her day. She's already posted the ring and everything. Commenter 3, info, how did he get the ring from you? Op's response, I don't always wear it. I usually keep it in a little box. I wear it when I'm having bad days or stressful times like during exams. It really helps me feel better, kinda like I'm doing this for her as well as me. I don't keep the box locked or guarded or anything. I wouldn't expect anyone to take it. It's just sat underneath my bed. Commenter 4, this whole post makes very little sense. How did the brother even know about the ring if Op has been wearing it for years? How did he get it? Why would he propose with a random, presumably kind of cheap, ring? Op's response, it's not a super cheap ring. I'm not sure on the exact price. I just know it's not super expensive. Why he chose to propose with it, I do not know. Maybe he thought it was sentimental. Commenter 5, ESH. It wasn't your ring, any more than it was your brother's. The ring belonged to your parents, and they had the right to do with it what they wanted. They let you play with it for a while, and then they gifted it to your brother. Pretty normal with things in the household. Where they become the jerks is that they did it without even talking to you about it. Op's response, it doesn't belong to my parents, at least I don't think it ever did, and she's gone now, and I don't exactly think she would be upset at the idea Op kept it. Did you have the ring appraised? Op's response, I don't know. I've never had it like professional appraised or anything. Its price or even looks wasn't why I kept it, even though it is a pretty ring. I had it because it reminded me of her, and it really does help having it on bad days. Update 1, next day. The mods on the other Am I the Jerk subreddit refused my post saying updates that don't resolve the conflict aren't welcome, so I'm giving a shot here. Here's a link to the original post if anyone's wondering. While the final judgment of my last post seemed to be not the jerk, I'm still so confused with the overwhelming amount of comments that said I was in the wrong. But one thing that a lot people did say is that I need to tell my brother's fiancé, and I guess that's right as it did feel like I ruined her day with my strop, so afterwards I messaged, apologized, and asked her to meet up for lunch as apology for the other day. I wasn't gonna ask for the ring back, I just wanted for her to at least know my side of the story I guess. Anyway, we meet up for lunch, blah blah small talk or whatever. And she shows me the ring and tells me that oh it's so pretty, I know it's not expensive, but if it means so much to your brother for me to have it, means so much to me. Like? Okay, just miss out crucial info when telling your future wife then, I guess. I kinda just stared at the ring and didn't know what to say, and I guess she must have noticed because she began apologizing a lot saying I didn't know, I'm sorry, and I finally got my ring back, or whoever's ring you wanna call it. I was near tears. She took me back to my friend's house as I thought that was gonna be it. Later, I get a call from my brother where he says that I'm selfish and I'm so weird about my sister and that I couldn't let him have his day, and it had to be about me, telling me that I just ruined his marriage and that I can't claim anything with my sister because I was way too young to have a relationship. He ended the call, and I tried calling both my parents, but they wouldn't pick up till my dad called later telling me he's disappointed how I handle things and that I've blown up my brother's relationship over a person I barely knew. And honestly, I don't know. At this point, I feel it's all gone a bit too far. I don't think I can ever face coming home, and I've just ruined my brother's marriage. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. If simply knowing the full truth was enough to make her leave, it means your brother was manipulating her anyways. You saved that woman. Not the jerk. Commenter 2. What a bunch of jerks. Of course, a young child is going to look up to her older sister. I'm guessing that she was kinder to you than this bunch of ghouls. They knew what they were doing was wrong because they didn't tell you they were doing it beforehand. Pretending you have no relationship to your deceased sister because you were young is just unfathomably cruel. No surprise the fiancé bailed. She saw how they treated you and realized that this would be her future if she stayed with your brother. Her actual feelings never mattering, only what he thought they should be. Best of futures to you. Sorry you lost your sister and have such a crappy family. Commenter 3. I don't know. I think your brother ruined his marriage by stealing the ring and using it to propose and then lying about it to his girlfriend. If his girlfriend doesn't want to marry him for his own actions, then that's on him. Commenter 4. I think that you have to express that you're upset about them not asking you to grab the ring. Also, your brother accusing you of blowing his marriage, like dude? He didn't even say the truth to his fiancée. That's the problem. I'm pretty sure this wouldn't have been an issue if you, your parents, and brother had a conversation before just giving the ring, explaining why he wanted to propose with the ring and what it meant to him. Deciding whether to give the ring or not as a family. I think that the ring doesn't belong to anyone, but to everyone in your family as a way to remember your sister. So if someone opposes giving it, simply don't give it. Update 2, 6 days later. I've been staying at my friend's house and will be moving in to stay with my boyfriend for a bit when he comes back from holiday. My parents have taken his side, and they want nothing to do with me. My brother is the same. No one in my family, even if they are sympathetic, can get through to them and amend stuff. It seems the only way to repair the relationship would be to give the ring back, but even then, I don't think I can. I'm at a loss, and I don't know what to do and how to go about it. Feels like I'll never be able to come home. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Here's the thing. Your golden child brother is not going to pan out as a functioning adult in life. And he won't be able to take care of your parents as they get older. So live your life, do the best you can, and just wait. Your parents will come crawling back one day. BTW, the fiancé broke up with your brother because he was so cheap he stole a ring from his baby sister that belonged to his deceased sister that the living sister used as comfort. The kind of man that can do that is not the kind of man any woman of merit will ever want to be with. Commenter 2, you just found out that your brother is the golden child. If the ring is just a ring, then why did brother need it in the first place? Why is it just a ring when you want it, but it's meaningful when he wants it? Clearly, there is some cognitive dissonance going on from their side. You are navigating this correctly. You just saved some poor girl from being married to a man who steals from his little sister without empathy or remorse. Good job. Commenter 3, do not back down. If your brother was a sister and wanted it for an engagement ring, that might justify wanting the ring, but he wants to give it to someone outside your family, who presumably had no special relationship with your sister. It's your reminder of your sister. It's not up to anyone else to decide how important it should be to you, and it wasn't anyone else's to give away. You're moving out, you'll have space, they'll have space. Once things have cooled off, feel free to reach out in a casual way. If the ring comes up, explain once why it's important to you and make it clear you're not giving it back, then say something to the effect of, I want to move past this, but I don't feel you think I have a right to mourn my sister in my own way. If they don't care after that, it's a wasted effort. Update 3, 8 days later. I feel like before I say anything, I need to clarify things people were confused about in my last post. Yes, I understand my writing style was messy. I was very emotional when I wrote my post, and I did leave out some details. The ring isn't cheap, it's the color silver, it feels metallic and has a small stone or gem. I have no clue how expensive it is. My sister passed when she was 17. My brother was 14. We don't ever talk about her. It rarely comes up other than the occasional time my mum reminisces. I wasn't close to her, I mean that in a way we didn't have a typical sibling relationship, but we still spent time together. She would brush my hair, drive me to the park. What I told the fiancé is what I essentially explained in the post. I don't know why I didn't clarify it. I'm sorry that was really messy. As for what's happening, I'm now living with my boyfriend and his parents on a semi-temporary basis. I met up with my aunt for coffee, and she told me it's best I don't go back. Even if I give the ring back, My parents think I've burned all my bridges. They have this idea that due to my age, I can't claim to have had a relationship with my sister. Everyone else has tons of fond memories of her, and I only have essentially a glimmer. They think it's weird how I act about her. They claim they've noticed it since her funeral, and they've only just now spoke up about it. My brother is extremely angry. He thinks all I try to do is try and replace my older sister, the way I dress, the subjects I chose, and that until I decide I'm not her and can never be her, he won't even look my direction. My aunt says she tried to reason with them, but to no avail. The decision is out of my hands at this point. Nothing I can do but move on. Thank you for all those that helped me. I appreciated everyone's perspective, but to the guy who messaged me to try and buy my inappropriate photos, you are actually a creep. Relevant comments. Commenter 1: Hey up, I read your first post and now this update. I do just want to say one thing to you, gently and not to in any way call into question the sentimental meaning of your sister's ring to you, but have you ever spoken to your brother about his relationship with your sister? How he felt when she passed? His memories of her? He was 14 when your sister passed away. I think that it may be good if you sit down with your brother and really let him talk about why he wanted that ring for his fiancée, what your together sister meant to him. I'm not saying that taking the ring without talking to you is okay or the way they've tried to deny your feelings about her is okay. But, it's not clear to me that you have really recognized how your brother may feel, and perhaps there is room for understanding and healing here. Op's response: no one talks about her. Everyone refuses to have any conversation about her. Commenter 2: can Op reach out to her brother and hear him out? Op's response: at this point he refuses to speak to me, but he was mostly the same, just refuses to speak about her. It was taboo. The only person who did was my mom, and that's basically briefly. Commenter 3: yikes, that's awful. Also, how can you simultaneously have no memory of your sister while also copying her? Your family is out of touch with reality. Commenter 4: they are so unhealed and so wrong. I pray you find peace and healing. That all of you do. Commenter 5: your behavior around your sister's passing in memory is normal. It's healthy to want a personal connection with her. She is, after all, your sister. Most people would feel similarly to you. Unfortunately, the toxicity and weird behavior by your brother and parents is not normal. They sound immature and full of resentment, like they own your sister's memory, and therefore how dare you intrude on that. Honestly, their behavior sounds abusive towards you, almost like they are channeling all their pain surrounding your sister's passing towards you. Do you understand what I am saying? This current situation is a convenient excuse for them to vent this rage on you. It is not your fault this is happening, that your sister passed and you are present trying to understand who she was. Your family don't deserve you. Don't beg for forgiveness nor a relationship with individuals who are so committed to rejecting your presence so thoroughly. They are not safe for you, lovely. I think therapy would help. Focus on other extended family members and your chosen family, boyfriend, in-laws, friends. Good luck.
My girlfriend always said my music was great but never gave real feedback, so I played her one of my songs without telling her it was mine, and she absolutely destroyed it, called it boring and all over the place, so now she's staying at her parents' because apparently I'm manipulative, but wasn't she the one lying this whole time? Posted by you/gfmusicthrow. So let me start off by saying that I, 28M, know this was slightly manipulative. I deceived her, 28F, by omission, and it speaks volumes about my communication skills. I understand that, and I actually feel really guilty about it. But here's what happened. My girlfriend is very critical about music. I make music on my own, but I never felt like she ever gave me real criticism of my music, despite me pleading with her to give me something blunt and real. She always said it was great, and never had anything to say about it. But when she would critique other music, she would get extremely detailed with it, critiquing music down to the very last detail. I really admire her thoughts on music, and all I really wanted was for her to do that for my music as well. But she would always just say it was great without saying much else, and I never believed her due to the stark differences in how she would frame these opinions. So one day, I had her listen to some music, without telling her it was mine. I just said, hey, check out this track, without saying it was mine. She went in. She said it was the work of someone who had no idea what they were doing. The composition was all over the place, and it didn't flow together. Sections of the song were much too long, there was a rise without a climax, and she said it was all around just a boring song. When I told her it was my song, she got really, extremely upset. She said I was a jerk for lying to her, I manipulated her, and that she can never trust me again. She took a bunch of things and stayed at her parents' house last night. I feel terrible, but at the same time, I also feel a bit vindicated. Also, I feel like she's overreacting. I don't really know where to go from here, because I don't want to lie to her about how I feel about what I did, feel sort of bad, but then again not really. Did I do the right thing? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Regardless of the specifics, she very clearly told you I don't want to do this thing, and you tricked her into doing the thing she clearly told you she didn't want to do. If you want to get it all mixed up in feelings around music criticism, that's your business, but the plain facts are as above. And people are allowed to feel that's it not cool to not have their own decisions about what they don't want to do be respected and to be tricked by someone they trusted. If the vindication about her opinion is worth doing that to her, then I guess it was worth it and you'll just need to live with the fallout from it. Ops response. She didn't tell me she didn't want to critique my music. While I agree with most people here that I did something manipulative, and I feel horrible about it, I think it highlights a bigger issue of communication in this relationship. I value blunt honesty, and she knows this about me, yet continued to placate me and tell me it's great with no real comment. I felt that was condescending. I totally regret not grilling her on this kind of thing, but I didn't think it was fair for me to force her to tell me something she obviously didn't want to tell me, but I also don't think it's fair that she kept lying to me, telling me that my music is great when I have to manipulate her into admitting she was lying the whole time. This was a breakdown in communication in a huge way, and while neither of us are saints, I don't believe I was the only bad guy in this situation. Commenter 2. 1. I hope you don't feel bad. She's your girlfriend, not someone who's expected to love everything you create. You do appreciate her criticism and she gave it to you. You should be glad if you respect her opinion. Apologize for manipulating her and thank her for her honest feedback. Let her know that her opinion of your song does not hurt your feelings, and then in the future, you don't have to play games like that to get her opinion. Good luck. Ops response. I really do appreciate the actual opinion she gave me, but I lost respect for her as a person, just because I frankly feel infantilized by her desire to lie to me in order to protect my feelings when I was bluntly trying to tell her that I really want her real, blunt opinions on my music. Commenter 3. Good people don't enjoy insulting or hurting their partners. It's not fun, it's painful. If your significant other is anything like me, then critiquing the creative work of someone you love is bad as the same as insulting that person. It's taking something she knows you worked hard on and telling you your effort was worthless. That is not an enjoyable experience. It's painful and it's extremely unkind of you to put her in the position. She wants to keep your relationship positive. You've ruined that and it will be very hard for her to forgive you for that. Update, 3 days later. Hi everyone. My old post can be found here. I didn't get a whole lot of well-wishing words from me on my last post. Most people felt that I was manipulative, took away her agency of choice by deceiving her, and that I deserved to have my relationship fall apart. Well, you guys were right. You win. She hadn't officially broken up with me, but I could tell the relationship had been in its final stages. Long story short, the day after I wrote my post, that is, the day I responded to most of the comments, a few hours later, I called her, told her to stay at her mom's place, that we were fundamentally incompatible, and that this obviously wasn't going to work out. I wanted to provide some background to our relationship, to clarify what I believe to be a few misunderstandings in the responses to my previous post. I had been asking her for a long time to provide me with honest critique to my music. I've approached her before about why her answers are so vague and placating when it comes to my music. I told her I can obviously see the contrast between that, and how she critiques all music, whether she likes it or not. She outright denied that she was just placating me, and that there's nothing to worry about, and all my music is great, and that I'm being crazy about it. The last time her and I talked about this, I was not subtle in my communication. I directly told her that I would value her critiques and take it to heart, whether the critique was positive or negative. I just really wanted her opinion, particularly considering that she's been a primary inspiration to some of my best work. I had made it clear that I really just didn't want to be placated, because music is so important to me, and the same goes for her, and I'm not in it to get people to praise me and tell me how great I am. I want to be the best possible musician I can be. And I also feel incredibly disrespected by being placated, like I'm some child who can't take criticism. I've never given anyone, let alone her, reason to believe that I would need placation. Beyond this, she still denied it all, but I could tell it was pretty much nonsense, and it was driving me crazy. So months and months later, I've gotten nowhere with communicating with her, and I still have the nagging suspicion, to the point where I'm not even asking her opinion anymore, because it just makes me mad. A few days ago, it just popped in my mind like it was no big deal, to play her one of my, pretty May in my opinion, but still had pretty okay responses from the general public songs. Basically just throwaway instrumental I did when I was bored, and kinda dug it at the time. And I didn't tell her it was me. We finished listening, and I asked her what she thought of that tune. She goes off on it, basically hating it. See my previous post. I said, okay, thanks so much, I'm so glad I could finally get it out of you, I agree with a lot of what you said. She goes, wait, that's your song? I said, yeah, it's an old one. And she gets mad and says, what the heck, gfmusicthrow. And we get into an argument about it. She thinks I went out of my way to manipulate her, like it was sociopathic and premeditated. I'm telling her, it's not even that big of a deal, why were you lying to me in the first place? And she said, because I just don't like your music. Are you happy? And we continue to fight. It escalated to the point where we started swearing, so she said, you know what? I don't need this, and walked out. She's been there ever since. Fast forward to the breakup conversation. She said she felt guilty about not liking my music for 2 reasons. One, because she thinks it was messed up that she simply didn't like her significant other's art, and she was ashamed of that. The other reason is that, a lot of the time, she feels like she doesn't know what she's talking about, and didn't want to rip my music apart like she does with most songs, because she could totally be wrong, and then she'd be a jerk. I was really upset by this. I feel like I called her out on her lying months ago, and she kept lying to me, instead of just saying that. I tried so hard to tell her months ago, that it's okay if she doesn't like it, but she just clammed up, thinking I was going to fly off the handle and end our relationship over it. After months and months of telling her that I didn't want to be placated, she kept trying to placate me, and wouldn't communicate the real reasons. How am I supposed to expect her to be an adult and communicate what she really feels, instead of lying to avert imagined conflict when we have relationship issues in the future? Music is such a huge and important piece of our lives together, and this situation probably wouldn't have gotten to where it is if it weren't. It may seem silly to those of you on the outside that what appears to be just a stupid, petty argument lead to the complete breakdown of a relationship. And now I'm just left confused, and lonely. She was also my best friend in the entire world, and there's a void inside of me, and a voice telling me I'm making a huge mistake. And I'm confused, and pulled in multiple directions. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She communicated with you the first time, in a way to stop you from asking her about it again, and instead of taking her at her word, you then passively aggressively manipulated her into yet another conversation about it. She shouldn't have to provide you with her entire thought process in order for you to believe that she means what she says the first time. The breakdown in communication has to do with you not respecting her comments the first time. It literally doesn't matter what her opinions on your music are or how that relates to you, she made it clear that she didn't really want to talk about it, and instead of taking that at face value you manipulated her into giving a different response because of what you wanted. Look, dude. There are plenty of ways to get critique and validation for your music. Why did you feel that manipulating someone you love into doing it when they clearly didn't want it was one of those ways? This is not what listening to music is about, and it's not a good communication tactic in a relationship either. She placated you to avoid conflict for both of you, but you manipulated her for your own validation. To me, that sounds selfish. Op's response. She didn't communicate anything with me. She made me feel crazy for seeing past the everything is great facade when it wasn't. She actively hid her feelings from me, when I made it expressly clear to her how much I don't appreciate being placated, because it shows a lack of respect and trust for me, and it's condescending. Op's response to a comment chain. That's your unfortunate perspective. Her dishonesty came from a place of keeping the peace. That doesn't make it okay, especially if I've never given a reason to think I would disrupt the peace, and was very clear about that. Your dishonesty came from a place of self-serving vindication. I think it's more simple than that. It came from a place of uncovering a lie. Do you guys pile on like this when someone snoops through a phone to find out their partner's cheating? Do those people get hundreds of comments calling them names like a couple have done to me here, and making character assaults over it? Or do they tell them to take screenshots and keep them for later? You could have just broken up with her. I did. I knew she was repeatedly lying to my face for months, and I uncovered it, and broke up with her. And I'm getting zero sympathy here for it, for reasons that simply aren't making too much sense. Lying is perfectly okay when she does it because she was uncomfortable, conflict averse, or whatever, but when I do something to uncover a lie, something everyone here can agree that it's not cool to do in a relationship, I'm manipulative, deceitful, stupid, an idiot, etc. Nobody here is catching on to the double standard except for the 2 to 3 people who messaged me in support, afraid to get piled on by the karma train. Op's girlfriend did not have any domain expertise. Op's response, yes she does. She's a professional in our local music community.
My husband begged me for years to sleep with another man for his fantasy, so I finally said yes after making him sign papers, but now he's big mad because I enjoyed it too much and wants me to take accountability for his stupid idea. Posted by you/thrower_told husband. Throwaway because I love posting my life on Reddit and don't want this mess attached to it. I've, 37F, been with my husband, 33M, for 12 years, and pretty much from the start he told me he has a fantasy to watch me make love with another man. He isn't the first man to ask me to do this. You'd be surprised how many men ask women to do this. The thing is though, my husband can be a little bit insecure to the point where I told him a year after we got together that I was thinking of leaving him because I can't deal with his constant questions of who someone is and how I know them every time they comment or like something on my socials. Or every time I mention someone at work, he'd start making passive-aggressive comments. He got better and said he realized how much of a contradiction he was being. Mostly his insecurities have calmed down with the odd flare-up. About 3 years ago he really ramped up asking me to make love with another man. He'd mention it at least once a week and tell me which of his friends found me hot and stuff like that, and he'd talk dirty while we had lovemaking about me and other men. About a year ago I caved a little and said as a test I'd start posting revealing pictures on socials and see how he handled it. So I started posting gym selfies and outfit pics of me wearing very revealing clothing. Then when we went to Ibiza I sunbathed topless and even posted a picture on my socials where it was obvious I was topless and captioned it "Men don't like tan lines, do they?" He passed all these tests and never once reacted negatively. While in Ibiza we went clubbing and he watched me dance with other men and seemed like he really enjoyed it. Around 6 months ago, I said okay but made him sign a piece of paper, obviously not legally binding but just trying to get it into his head, that this can't be classed as cheating, it is a smash game to fulfill his fantasy. He said that all types of lovemaking are okay and nothing is off limits, and he will choose the man so I can't be accused of any sort of cheating. He said he was fine with this. He's a big man, 6 feet 4 inches and goes to the gym nearly every day. He chose a little skinny guy, 5 feet 5 inches and not a bit of muscle on him. Anyway, tale as old as time, he wanted it, got it and now isn't happy and is upset. He says I enjoyed myself too much, it was obvious I preferred the lovemaking with the other guy, I was louder and gave him head longer etc. etc. There's been numerous complaints. I've just shut him down every time and said I told him this is how it was going to go and he didn't listen to me, and I showed him numerous posts on Reddit of this exact thing happening. Men begging, their wives giving in, the men can't handle it and they blame the wife. I said that's not me, I'm not taking any blame. I did exactly what I was told to do. Make love with another man and put on a show and act like a prawn star. I did that, I held up my end, he isn't holding up his end of either enjoying it or accepting he asked for this. He's saying I'm being a jerk by showing no understanding or in his words taking accountability for my actions. He said if I knew this was going to happen I shouldn't have done it and should just keep saying no. It's like an adult who would purposely put his hand in a lion's cage and then cry it's been bitten off. Am I the jerk? Should I be more understanding? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, not the jerk and also this would be a huge red flag for me about the relationship in general. He broke your trust. Ops response, I'll be honest it is really bothering me. Commenter 2, so you know he was a deeply insecure man and you considered leaving him before. You researched it and showed him numerous accounts of how men regret this. Don't like it, makes them even more insecure. You then post a series of tests that aren't really the same and he passes. Then you make love with a man not of your choosing just for him. And he doesn't like it, just like he has never really gotten over any of the above. At what point are you going to give yourself the self-respect of not putting up with his behavior? Ops response, I'm getting to the stage now where I'm realizing the bad far outweighs the good. Commenter 3, his fantasy stems from his insecurities. You did nothing wrong but your husband can't handle what he asked you to do. I'm all for consensual kink, but there should be zero pressure from either side. If I were you I'd be upset that he pressured me and then got mad when he got what he wanted. I'm sorry, but that's some nonsense. Ops response, I agree which is why I say it's all his making. Seeing someone not take responsibility for their actions is very off-putting. Commenter 4, wasting 12 years on this man is the real crime here. Like he showed his hand from the jump so please tell me he's either rich or amazing in bed? Like I want to know what's the pull towards him? Ops response, he is, or was, a genuinely good man in all other aspects, very romantic, split the housework, hard worker, extremely caring when I was ill for a year but it felt like this was just an itch he needed to scratch and it was becoming all-consuming. Update, 5 days later. A lot of the comments on my original post opened my eyes to the fact he was setting me up to be the bad guy and not enjoy myself to make himself look or feel better. Unfortunately his plan backfired as I enjoyed myself very much. I was leaning very heavily towards leaving him but last night he asked me if he could pick someone else for me to smash and we can try doing it again. I lost it and told him to get out my house and never come back. I've never been so angry with someone. He's messing with my head and that was the final straw. He's at his parents at the minute. I look forward to him telling everyone I cheated. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, ooh. He's a jerk. I just read the other post and obviously he's convinced himself that he's a bull and now his fragile little ego has been shattered. Cucks enjoy being cucked, he wanted his imagined prowess vindicated and can't handle the fact the smaller guy was better. I'm sorry but I think therapy is the only possible savior at this time, he will dwell on it forever otherwise. Ops response, no therapy. I'm done. Commenter 2, not the jerk but wow. He wanted to selfishly fulfill a fantasy only to have it backfire on him, and now he's butthurt. Too bad. And yes, do pass that form along to anyone who comes after you all bothered. Ops response, I have the form and screenshots and even videos of the night with him directing me and telling me what to do if he wants to go that route and badmouth me to people. Commenter 3, maybe warn him that if he dares breathe a word about infidelity to anyone, you will go public with everything, hopefully, that will shut him up and save yourself the public embarrassment. Ops response, no I'll let him bury himself. Commenter 4, did these kind of requests go through texts? If so send to anyone going after you for cheating those texts. Not the jerk. Ops response, I've got hundreds of text messages. I've got the messages between him and the man on the swinging site. Got videos of me and the man and my husband telling us what to do plus my husband doing something which I'm not going to go into detail about here. My husband and I got married 3 months ago, but during a stupid fight he screamed that his ex was right and he shouldn't have rushed into marriage, so now I'm wondering if I rushed into the wrong person's arms. Posted by you/throwerbutterfly11. I've sort of been going through it this week, and everyone in my life is telling me different things, so I thought I'd come on here and ask you guys. So my husband, 28M, and I, 27F, got married 3 months ago. We've been together for 3 years, and now I just feel like everything has gone down the drain. We got into a fight a week ago over practically nothing. It was a stupid fight, we were both really stressed all day because of a personal issue, and it sort of just compounded right before we went to bed, and we just started yelling at each other. As we were fighting, my husband just sort of yelled that his ex-girlfriend was right, and he shouldn't have rushed into marriage. I stopped dead in my tracks. It felt like a bucket of cold water had just been poured on top of me. He immediately stopped talking, it was so silent, my body was shaking. I ran out of the room and locked myself in the spare bedroom for the night. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen, and he looked like he hadn't slept a wink. I felt bad, momentarily, until I remembered what he said. He ended up confessing that the night before he proposed to me, he had gotten a text from his ex-girlfriend saying she needed to talk to him. He showed me his phone and there the text was. Her asking, practically begging, to see him, and him agreeing. He explained that she had just been broken up with, apparently this guy was horrible to her, and she thought that my husband would be the only person to understand. And they had gotten to talking, and he had told her he was going to propose to me tomorrow, to which apparently she began asking questions about me, about our relationship, stuff he just began willingly divulging, and then she told him that he was rushing into marriage. According to him, although I have no way to validate any of this, he got up and left, and hasn't talked to her since. He reassured me that last night he was just stressed, he didn't mean it, and that there is not a day that goes by that he doesn't feel like the luckiest man in the world. He was crying, begging me not to leave him. Things have been tense ever since then. He seems to be overcompensating, or at least he's overdoing it because he feels like that's what I want. I don't know what I want. I don't even know how to begin to process this. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm curious, did he ever apologize for not telling you sooner that he went to see her? Ops response, he apologized after he told me everything that happened, not specifically that he didn't tell me sooner, he just sort of kept apologizing for going to see her over and over again. He also apologized specifically that he threw it back in my face the night prior. I think he sort of was inferring to the whole situation in a way, but he didn't specifically say the words, I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. I'm not sure if it matters, but yeah. Commenter 1, does it matter to you that he didn't tell you about it sooner? Ops response, yes, it does. We've been married for 3 months and we got engaged 2 months before that. 5 months feels like a long time to me to keep this hidden. When I said I'm not sure that it matters, I was more saying I'm not sure if the exact wording he used matters, not that I don't care that he didn't tell me sooner. Commenter 2, that's an unringable bell. It's not even so much that he saw her and didn't say anything, for me, that could have been fine. It's that he's clearly been hearing her words in his head the entire time you've been married. He went into your marriage with doubt and didn't think you two, supposedly a partnership, should even get to have a conversation about that. That's the deal breaker for me. Commenter 3, how can anyone get past this type of betrayal? When he yelled at you about her and that he agreed he should have never married you, it would have been the end for me. He told you he regrets marrying you. How can that not always be in the back of your mind going forward? Commenter 4, I think you two would benefit from couples therapy. He lashed out in anger to hurt you. I understand he immediately regretted it, but he also ended up exposing a lie he hid. He broke your trust seeing her and not mentioning it to you. Did he have a last fling with her? I'd have more questions I'd want answers to. He owes you a genuine apology and changed behavior. Update, 4 days later. Okay, so I just want to say first that I am appreciative of everyone for giving me solid advice, or at least the people who tried to. It's been an interesting couple of days, but things are looking up. He's been sleeping in the spare room since the argument, but we've had a couple conversations and have come to a conclusion. We have a counseling session booked in for next week, and until then we have decided to keep our distance, as in separate bedrooms. Thank you to everyone who recommended counseling. For some reason my brain completely forgot that was an option. I want to give him time before we go to our first appointment to really think about what he wants. He kept saying that he didn't mean what he said, but I need to be sure of that before proceeding. If, on the off chance, he truly believes what his ex said, then I need him to come to that conclusion himself, because I don't think I could take it if I knew he was staying with me because of pride and not because he loves me. We're going on a date tomorrow night. He's taking me to the restaurant we went to on our first date, and he seemed excited when he told me, so I guess that's good. I'm excited to have some normalcy return to our marriage, so I hope that maybe it's a turning point. As for his ex, to give some context I didn't give in the last post, my husband met her at a bar, not at her apartment or a hotel room. Apparently she looked distraught, or at least like she had been in a bad situation for a while. And I do empathize. I don't want any woman to be in a relationship that is abusive or emotionally draining. I do believe that my husband didn't cheat on me, and I know many of you might think I'm being naive about it, but I know my husband. Or at least I think I do. I asked him why he said it if he didn't mean it, and he said he's not sure, which is concerning to me, so I hope he can figure it out in time for the counseling session and we can unpack it. I love my husband and I know he loves me, so while my anxiety is through the roof right now, I hope we can sort this out because I can't imagine a world where he and I aren't together. Top comments. Commenter 1, even with this framing, I don't know if that makes it worse. You say that she was heartbroken and distraught from her previous relationship, and your husband thought it was appropriate to not only reveal that he went to see her before your engagement but also use that distress as an information weapon against you as a means to hurt you and your feelings. Is he the one taking the steps to set up counseling? Is he the one doing the work to rebuild trust here? It's good that you're being conscious, keep doing that and being realistic. Commenter 2, I understand not wanting to walk out because of this. You've put 3 years into this relationship, you're married, and your lives are entwined in so many ways. People here will judge you for fighting for this, but it's completely understandable that you want to. What I want you not to forget is how you felt when he said those words. I don't want you to forget how you felt that entire night locked in that room. I don't want you to forget the anxiety you are feeling right now. And I don't want you to forget that your husband deliberately said one of the most hurtful things you could say to a partner when having a stupid fight about nothing. He could have said anything, and he went far below the belt. If those are the verbal punches he throws when you're fighting about nothing of consequence, what is he going to say when you're fighting for something of very real consequence? Commenter 3, I'm pretty sure I know exactly why he said it. He was mad and he wanted to hurt your feelings, and that was the best ammunition he had to do it. When you do the counseling, if you guys decide that you do want to work through this and fix the relationship, healthy communication is going to need to be a huge focal point. He needs to learn how to talk through a disagreement without taking shots at you. My old college bestie ghosted me for 9 whole years, but suddenly she's sliding into my DMs asking to crash at my place, and now I'm realizing she never lost her toothbrush, she just lost her manners. Posted by you/cramphamster. I, 28F, knew my old friend, L, 28F, in university. We were dorm neighbors. We got along pretty well, and she was my best friend for those 8 months. Then in the summer, she and some other friends got a house without me, and I dropped out of school. Being forgotten by them was a factor, but there were some other reasons that I dropped out. I tried messaging her on Facebook a few times to see how she was doing, but she never responded. She started messaging me the other day, and I was delighted until, like 20 minutes into the conversation, she asks if she can crash at my house when she is going to be in town next week. I don't know what to do. I'm not busy that day, but I can't shake this feeling of being used. I want to say no, but I don't want to feel like a bad person. What should I do and say to my old friend that wants a, not huge, favor after not talking to me for 9 years? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. Personally, it would irritate me a bit that somebody who couldn't be bothered before only wants to speak to me because they want something. Trivago is a pretty good place to look for a hotel room. Ops response. Part of me wonders if she never got back to me is because she is a pretty flighty, ditzy person. That's also why I feel bad about saying no because she probably doesn't have extra money to spend on a hotel last minute. Commenter 1. Meh. She sure as heck wasn't flighty when she wants a free place to stay though. Her financial problems aren't your concern. Commenter 2. Nope. She thinks she can pop in your life when she needs something. Not okay. Tell her sorry, I can't have any guests right now. I'd love to hang out while you're in town though. Edit, assuming you actually want to see her. Update, 4 days later. I read all of your comments on my last post, and I wanted to believe her that she wanted to be friends again. I didn't mention in my last post, but her reason for coming to my city is to go to a school orientation thing because she is moving here in the fall. And I had reconnected with a different friend after they moved here, and I thought it would turn out okay. She invited me to the school thing, with free lunch, and brought me some gifts, bagels, from where she was traveling from, a place known for bagels. I thought all of you guys were biased because you didn't know her and how like hippie she can be sometimes. Very go with the flow, creative type. So she shows up 2.5 hours late, at midnight. We talk for a bit, and it's nice, but to be honest I'm miffed because I am very sleepy as I was busy all day cleaning and baking her fresh banana bread like the sucker that I am. She takes a shower and goes downstairs, and then me and my boyfriend, who she had to ask the name of. Like, you couldn't just look on Facebook before you came. We have been dating for 3.5 years? We get ready and notice a big gob of toothpaste on his toothbrush? And we feel the bristles and it's wet? No, she couldn't be using our toothbrushes, I must have just gotten them wet when I was cleaning up or something. We wake up and go to the thing. It's kinda boring, but I don't have anything else to do, and there's free food and whatever. We walk around campus for a bit, and it's alright. We talk about our lives, and she forgets very important details about my life, a big trip coming up in a week, that I told her last night. I give her a tour as it is the school I graduated from, but she is not listening. But whatever, I'm kinda used to being ignored anyways, so I just enjoy my free food, and then we go home. We chill for a little bit, but she's hinting that maybe she could live at my house in the extra space I have when she's at school. I say probably not, since it would be a weird third wheel situation, which she is also moving out of now. See, I listen to her life stuff. She mentions that she thought she lost her toothbrush yesterday, but then she finds it in the car. I'm now 99% sure she used the toothbrush. She leaves, and whatever, it's over. I regret it, but I helped someone, and that's good, right? Then, I open the bagels. They are rancid. They smell like a forest floor. I look at them, and they are covered in blue mold, and my stomach turns. I am retching at the smell of these bagels. So now I am just furious. And I hate to say it, but you guys were right. Relevant comments. About the toothbrush. Commenter 1. Right? Or say you forgot it and just buy a new one for like $2. Commenter 2. Or ask your host, hey, do you have a spare toothbrush? I lost mine. Plenty of people buy a few extras when they replace their toothbrush, and it doesn't hurt to ask. Ops response. This is exactly my thought. I even had an extra toothbrush in my purse because I went to the dentist on Wednesday. Commenter 3. Oh my goodness, the part about the bagels. How disgusting. At least you know it's not you, and she's just a horrible person and a user. Commenter 4. She probably had them laying around her house before she left and thought, why waste the food? Ops response. Before I noticed the mold, I offered her one the next morning, and she said she didn't think she could eat a whole bagel. She had been driving for 6 hours and then slept for 7, all without eating. You can't eat a whole bagel? Commenter 5. Reading updates like this doesn't give me a feeling of I told you so. More so I hate it when I'm right. Commenter 6. I don't feel satisfied. Just somewhat annoyed that she asked for advice, got advice, disregarded it to the extreme, and then the expected happens. Ops response. I did kinda leave out that when she asked me last Saturday night, she said she might need a place to stay. It wasn't a for sure thing. She said she would know more by Tuesday. I was a little drunk at the time, and I thought, oh, this might be fun. But then the next day I was like, this feels kinda sketchy. Then I made the first post on Tuesday, but then I felt like I had left it too late to back out. I mean, in hindsight I could have turned her down, but I thought that going back on your word was worse than saying no from the get-go. Top comment. Commenter. Consider this a jerk tax. Now you can also unfriend her on Facebook, and her messages will just go to your others box, and you never have to willingly let her invade your space again. Also, she knew she was being crappy. She didn't care. My brother told me not to break up with my cheating ex because it would make his bestie sad, so now I'm the villain for choosing self-respect over keeping their friendship intact. Posted by you/communication, Fit3498. Hey everyone, I'm really trying to make sense of the absolute movie I've been thrown in. For context, I, 20F, was dating my ex-boyfriend, 21M, for 2 years. My ex is my brother's best friend from childhood, so I basically grew up with him. I always had a crush on him but only did something about it after high school when we started dating. He was my world. We were perfect. There wasn't a day he wasn't by my side. I really loved him. 2 weeks ago, I found out he cheated on me with a girl at a party. He came to me immediately afterward, crying and asking me for forgiveness. I shattered, literally shattered, like glass. I didn't even respond. I grabbed my keys and left him in my own house. My brother called me a few hours later, saying he heard what happened and tried to comfort me. We talked for a while, and I told him that I'm breaking up with him. He said that wasn't a good idea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not a good idea that I break up with a guy who cheated on me? He complained that my ex was his best friend and he would be really bummed if I broke up with him. Like what? I told him I really didn't care. I didn't even think he'd still want to be friends with him after finding out he cheated on his sister. Anyway, I'm not getting back together with him. Don't get me wrong, I loved him a lot, but he cheated on me and that's a level of disrespect I will never tolerate. My brother and I are not on speaking terms, and my mom is kind of on his side. She said that he's just defending his friend, but I'm literally his sister. There's a lot more that went on in between, but I don't want to make this post too long. Let me know if you want me to go into more detail. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, so. Who's your brother cheated on? You know, kind stays with kind. OP, you're not wrong, but honestly my brother has never been able to keep a talking stage, much less a girlfriend. However, if he does end up cheating on someone, I won't be surprised. Commenter 2, NTA. Because of your brother's actions, now he gets to share the award your ex already gets. You are 100% in the right, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Honestly, your brother's actions are worse than your ex's in my opinion. As a brother myself with a younger sister, that is a sacred bond he broke. I am so sorry you are dealing with this. I seriously hope he realizes he messed up and makes things right. OP, I agree. The worst part is that this is absolutely not like him. He used to be super protective, and all throughout high school he threatened to beat up any guy who came near me. I don't know what happened. Commenter 3, his friend is known, so you deemed safe? He didn't need to wear the mantle anymore? Playing the stereotype of in high school brother? Was it love or obligation? OP, honestly, I really did love him. I had a huge teenage girl crush on him all throughout high school, but I was scared it would get complicated or he'd reject me. I'd even write about him in my journal. It was really embarrassing. Commenter 4, was your brother with him at the party? By the way, NTA. On the other hand, your brother is an ass. This is the kind of stuff you remember for the rest of your life. Update me. OP, he wasn't with him at the party, and quite honestly, I don't think there was a party. I think it was just a scapegoat. Update 1, the next day. Hey again, so some of you wanted me to go into more detail, and some of you had some questions about my brother, and how he felt about our relationship at first. I'll start with saying that when I told my brother, 22M, I was breaking up with his best friend, he was angry. I mean, like really mad. He kept telling me that I was trying to hurt his best friend and have him deal with a bummed out friend and whatnot. Obviously, I was taken aback. He then went to go tell on me to my mom. My mom called me really upset. She said that I should stop working my brother's nerves and all kinds of nonsense. I told her the full story because obviously my brother didn't. I told her how my ex cheated on me. All she said was, oh, then hung up. I hadn't heard from her since. I won't lie, my mom has always favored my brother, but I excused it as a boy-mom thing. She's never neglected me or treated me badly before, she just had an obvious favorite. I've also never been one to do the most for anyone's approval. A few of you had questions about my brother too, like if he was a cheater too, and if he approved of my relationship in the first place. For the first question, my brother is a loser. He's really immature, so naturally girls don't want to spend a lot of time with him. I've told him several times that he should grow up or he'll be single forever. So, to answer your question, my brother has never even had the chance to cheat. As for the second question, my brother found it awkward at first, but then he got over it. Plus, me dating his best friend meant he'd practically see him 24/7, so I guess he didn't mind that much. He just didn't like the PDA and all that stuff. There isn't much to update on. My ex has tried and failed to contact me. All my friends have blocked him, and no one is giving him any of my info. He's even tried contacting my boss. My brother is still insisting I talk to my ex. I continue to tell him to leave me alone. My mom is radio silent, and honestly it's for the best. Will I get over this? Sure, but it'll take some time. I don't think this is something to get therapy over, but it'll need some healing. Thank you for all your lovely comments and messages. It's comforting to know there are people on my wavelength who understand that cheating is loser behavior and tolerance for it is even weirder. Relevant comments. Up on being groomed, I don't think I was groomed. I had always had a crush on him. He never really seemed interested in it, much too busy being a boy. Plus, we're only a few months apart. We spend most of the year being the same age, so I don't think so. To be honest, I wouldn't be able to point out whether it was grooming or not, but I don't think so. Commenter 1, do you live alone? I suggest you reach out to your brother and tell him how hurt you are about him putting his best friend above you, his only sister. Let him know you will be going low contact, and if he still tries to suggest you forget that your ex cheated and get back with him, you will cut him out of your life. Also text your ex and tell him to not contact you or your employer, and that if he does it again you will report him for harassment. If you live alone, change your locks and then your number. OP, I live in an apartment with a roommate, but I live close to home so I visit often. I think I'll be limiting those visits too. Commenter 2, thanks for the update. I hope your mother comes around, but I wouldn't hold my breath. She is likely fully on your brother's side, which is a shame, considering that would put her on the same side as your cheating ex. Where is your dad in all this? Still NTA, screw cheaters and everyone who defends or sides with them. OP, thanks for the comment. Unfortunately, my dad passed when I was really young, so he's not in the picture. Update 2, the next day. Hey again. I contemplated posting this for hours because it's just so much and so little at the same time. Edit, I want to preface this by saying that I'm 1000% not getting back together with anyone. I'd made my decision from the beginning, and they can try all they want, but but it's not happening. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me offering support and advice. It really means a lot to me. I stalk this sub often, so the community means a lot. I spoke to my ex again, through text, to tell him to leave me alone and stop trying to contact me. I also told him to come get the stuff he left at my apartment. He went on to tell me that he needed to tell me something, that he needed to tell me the truth. I did not respond, but he kept texting anyway. He proceeded to tell me that he made everything up, the cheating story and everything. Obviously, I didn't believe him at first, but then he went on. However, you guys need to understand that I really love this man and have for years, so there's a part of me that wants to take his word for it. Anyway, he told me that he planned the whole thing with my brother, like it was some kind of sick prank. Who does that? He called it a test. A test, for what? He told me to call my brother and tell him to tell me the truth. Keep in mind that all of this happened in a day, so it was crazy. He went on and on about how much he still loves me and how he wishes he never listened to my brother. I felt physically sick. It felt like whiplash. A few hours later, I called my brother and told him to open up, just to see his reaction and if I get a similar story from him. Surprisingly, his story was somewhat similar, except he made it look like he was just told to keep up with a lie rather than being part of the planning. He also told me that he was urging me to get back with my ex because he knew that nothing really happened and we would have broken up over nothing. I still think that is very stupid. I really don't know what to think. Who is telling the truth? Why did I need to be tested? Why the hell am I still in love with this jerk? A lot of questions and no answers. A few of you had some issues with my mom, and they're all justified. From a young age, I knew she had her favorites, but I am very likable, so if I wasn't getting her attention it really didn't bother me. I know that sounds cocky, but it's the truth. We talked, and she told me that she hadn't known that I was cheated on until I told her, and gave me a curt apology. I also don't know if she's telling the truth. She also told me that she scolded my brother for lying to her and hurting my feelings, as if that was meant to make me feel better. Anyway, our relationship will continue to strain, so I'd rather not focus on that. Some of you ask where my dad is in all this. Unfortunately, my dad is no longer with us. He passed away 12 years ago, and it still breaks my heart. I was always told that I was the apple of his eye, and his world didn't seem complete until I was born. I carry him with me everywhere I go. I find comfort in the idea that he would have stuck up for me right now. I love him so much even to this day. I'm currently typing all this very late at night because I've been pondering all day. This has practically consumed my life, and I'm sick of it. It also doesn't help that my town is relatively tiny, and everyone from my graduating class already knows everything. I'm more fed up than I'm sad, but I won't let it bother me for too long. But seriously, can whoever is controlling the TV show that is my life give me a break? Thank you all for reading. I really appreciate it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The prank story is a lie that your ex and brother came up with as an excuse to get you back together. Stick to your guns and move on with your life. It will not get better, only worse from here. Commenter 2. 100%. Original story says he came to her crying. That's pretty good acting for a prank. Even if he was actually lying for a prank, which I doubt, why would you stay with someone who would manipulate you and play with your feelings like that? How could you possibly trust him again? OP, that's exactly what I told him. Why would he put so much effort into it if it isn't true? Commenter 3. Op, it sounds like you have no support in your town or from your family. Quietly look for a job somewhere else, then disappear without telling anyone where you went. Start fresh, without all the judgment. OP, that'll be kind of difficult considering I go to school here. My town isn't a problem, I'm more upset that people outside my circle already know about it. I'll definitely be getting out of here after I graduate though. Commenter 4. Phew, man, what a wild update. Do you know the girl he cheated with? I'm like, this is all verifiable very easily. Regardless, I'd stick to your guns like everyone else is saying. OP, I considered looking, but I felt it was pointless, and also I really didn't want to know what she looked like. I'm a black woman in a little white town, which I love, but I feel like it would hurt if I knew he cheated on me with someone who looked nothing like me. Update 3, 8 days later. Hello everyone. I wasn't going to post anything else regarding my situation, and the only reason I am is because quite a few of you have come into my DMs in the past week defending my brother and saying I'm a horrible person, and now you're in my comments. First thing, my brother is a loser, my ex is a loser, and my mom does not like me. I do not have to respect or tolerate any of them. I quite honestly could not care less whether that makes me a horrible person. I'd be a horrible person 100 times over before I let someone disrespect me like that. I don't know you and you don't know me, so to make an assessment on my character based off a post leaves much to be desired from yours. Second thing, I've come to realize that anyone who defends or supports cheaters are just as bad as they are. This includes my mom, my brother, and all the incels in my DMs. I want nothing to do with any of you, so be gone. Lastly, to the people who genuinely cared about my well-being and would like to know how I'm doing, I'm great. To no one's surprise, the whole prank thing was a lie, and I actually found out who my ex cheated on me with. I know that should feel like closure, but it doesn't. I just want to move on and graduate and get out. Thank you for all the kind words of encouragement, and to all the older siblings who reminded me that my brother is not the norm. This'll be my last post. I just want to clear things up for all those who were interested. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, yay. Congratulations on graduating when you do. And then take that space that will make you feel better than anything else. Your family and ex-boyfriend will be left behind to fester in their nonsense, and you will be living your best life. Ops response, thank you so much. I literally can't wait. Commenter 2, how did you find out? It's perfect timing. Soon you will start a new chapter of your life and leave all these crappy people behind. Clean start. Ops response, one of my girlfriends found her. She's a real detective. My husband's best friend expected us to pay for expensive group gifts even though we're trying for another baby and just started our own company, but when we bought a massage voucher instead of joining the Gucci fund, we suddenly became the villains. Posted by you/clarazn. I, 29F, and my husband, 35M, are part of a close group of friends. We're all in our late 20s to mid-30s, most of us are married or in serious relationships, and we usually celebrate birthdays together. The usual setup has always been that the birthday person hosts and pays for everyone. But about a year ago, this weird new tradition started. For each birthday, someone opens a WhatsApp group and says, let's all chip in for this really expensive gift. We're talking about things like Hermes flip-flops, Formula One tickets, Gucci bags. It's all very public and a bit uncomfortable to say no. My husband and I have always gone along with it, even though it's felt a bit much at times. For example, we paid around €300 towards a €1,500 Formula One ticket for my husband's best friend, let's call him Tom. At the time, it felt okay. But now things are different. We're already parents to one child, we're trying for a second, and we just opened a new business which we fully funded from our own savings. Everyone in the group knows this, including Tom. We're doing fine financially, but we're definitely being more careful. These expensive group gifts are not something we feel comfortable doing anymore. A few weeks ago it was my husband's birthday. One of the friends asked if I was going to open a WhatsApp group for a gift. I said no. My husband didn't want anything. We hosted everyone for a pool party, paid for everything ourselves, and we're happy to do it. For the record, Tom gave my husband a nice bottle of tequila worth around €100. We appreciated it. I'm not complaining at all. I've never judged or compared gifts, and I've been genuinely grateful for every single one, no matter the price. 2 weeks later, it was Tom's girlfriend's birthday. He opened a group chat and said she would like a Gucci bag. I told my husband I didn't want to participate in this one. He agreed. We didn't reply in the group, but we bought her a €120 massage voucher as a gift. Her birthday was held at a really fancy and expensive beach restaurant. We went, enjoyed the event, had fun and made sure the birthday girl had a blast. A few days later, Tom wrote in the group that the bill was €3,000 and said that if anyone would like to contribute, they could. I told my husband I didn't want to chip in. We didn't choose the place. We gave her a gift. And again, we're being more mindful about money right now. He obviously agreed. Then Tom messaged my husband privately and said he expected us to help with the dinner bill since we didn't join the group gift. He said our €100 gift wasn't enough, brought up the fact that we had always participated before, including for his Formula One ticket, and said we were being jerks for not pitching in it all this time. I honestly don't understand it. I've never once complained about the gifts we got. I've always been thankful. But suddenly we're being labeled as the rude ones just because we made a different choice this time based on our current situation. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, can I ask what lines of work you and your friends are in? This seems quite excessive. Ops response, I'm a lawyer and my husband is a real estate broker, we work together and own the company, our friends are in finance, a doctor, digital marketing. Yeah, I guess everyone in the group is pretty well off. I have to say, we're all friends for many years and everyone built themselves all alone, no help or favors given. Still, I'm not the type to spend money on expensive stuff I could otherwise spend on my kid or the new business. The bill he wanted us to pay is more expensive than a month of kindergarten for my son. Additional information from Op in the comments. We had absolutely no problem paying for our meal, but for the past decade, the birthday person always paid for the lunch and dinner. We only found out about the high bill a few days later. None of us ever asked anyone else in the dinner party to pay. When we were still young and couldn't afford it, we used to host at home. Update, the next day. Hi everyone, I posted parts of this update in the comments of my original post, but I thought it would be better to collect everything into one proper update so it's clear and complete. After reading the comments, my husband and I realized we hadn't been as clear with our friend group as we should have been. So we wrote a respectful message in our group chat with everyone. Hi guys, first of all, we love you all. Just wanted to say we're no longer participating in the group gift tradition. With our growing family and the new business, we're trying to be more mindful with money. We'll always celebrate you in our own way. Thanks for understanding. Most people responded kindly and said they completely understood. Then one couple reached out to us privately and told us they're currently going through IVF. They said they've been feeling very uncomfortable with the pressure of the group gift tradition but didn't want anyone to know what they were going through. They were afraid that if they opted out, people would ask questions. They were really relieved we spoke up. We also spoke to everyone else individually. Aside from Tom, his girlfriend, and one other couple, everyone was glad to stop the expensive gift tradition. That one other couple preferred the group gifts because they found them more convenient, but they weren't upset at all and didn't cause any drama. They just said they'll go along with whatever the group decides. Tom and his girlfriend, though, didn't take it so well. Yesterday, Tom texted my husband saying our message in the group chat felt passive-aggressive and like we were throwing shade at him. His girlfriend messaged me and said we should have just told her privately that we don't have the money instead of announcing it in front of everyone. She was upset that now the tradition was over. I tried to keep it light and said, "No problem, my birthday's coming up and I want a trip to Thailand for my whole family." She didn't respond. To make sure there were no hard feelings, we also sent Tom €200 to cover our share of the food and drinks from his girlfriend's birthday dinner. Then today, we spoke with them again, and things got even more frustrating. They told us that our decision not to do any group gift, or any gift at all, for my husband's birthday came off as condescending and inconsiderate, as if we're better than them for not wanting gifts. Apparently, it made life harder for everyone. That was never our intention. We just genuinely didn't want anything and we're happy to host and celebrate without gifts. As a group, we've now all agreed to go back to the old tradition: the birthday person hosts everyone. When we were younger, that usually meant breakfast, lunch, or dinner at home, nothing over the top. It felt more personal and less stressful, and everyone seems happier going back to that. Lastly, my husband and I have decided to take a step back from Tom. This whole situation made it clear that a lot of people in the group feel like they can't say anything around him without him getting offended. We're not angry, just tired. We want to enjoy our friendships without walking on eggshells. Thanks again to everyone who commented on the original post. You helped us see that we weren't crazy for feeling the way we did. In the end, we think this reset was needed, for us and for the group. Info: we're a group of 5 couples. Relevant comments. Commenter 1: Gifts are given usually with the expectation that later gifts are received. I give people a birthday present who I would reasonably expect to give a birthday present to me. For example, I would need a breakdown of all the group gifts given since the beginning, because if you end the group gift giving before everyone has gotten an equal share of group gifts, then that's a major problem. Essentially, they would have been contributing to group gifts with the expectation that they will also receive a group gift. To have it end prior to them receiving what was expected is not good at all. Starting this thing to begin with is asking for trouble, but I can't tell who would actually be the jerk without looking at the equity of it. If they are asking for group gifts that are far out of line with what the group usually expected to get, then that is something else as well, but sounds like group gifts have just been escalating and the gifts expected could have just been par for the course. Ops response: okay, so Tom got an F1 ticket. Another friend got VIP festival tickets, too. Another one got Hermes sandals. Tom's girlfriend got a Gucci bag. Another friend got a plane ticket to Croatia, her husband paid for his. My husband asked for no gifts, and was not given any, which is absolutely fine. My birthday is in November, so no gift. And another friend's, the Croatia ticket husband, birthday is also in November. So no gift. The Croatia ticket couple is the IVF couple. My boyfriend's mom thought copying my every purchase was cute, but then she said I get enough sausage from her son and tried peeking at his business, so now I'm wondering if wanting matching cars was actually wanting matching lives. Posted by you/oddthrowawaypost. I, 27F, have been with my boyfriend, 26M, for 2 years. Our families are very close, both of our moms get along and pretty much became best friends once we started dating. I adore his mom, 50F, too. We've had a genuine friendship since her son and I got together. Let me start by saying my boyfriend and his mom are pretty close and they have a great relationship. But since we started dating, she seems to be jealous of our relationship. And she seemed to start copying me. My boyfriend bought me a beanie from our favorite local company and suddenly, she needed the same beanie. We went bikini shopping and she bought the exact same bikini I decided to buy. My boyfriend bought me a camping ice chest, so she went out and bought the exact same one for herself. Now, she's looking to buy the exact same car as me that I bought for myself 6 months ago. For reference, I bought a 4x4 off-roading SUV with full towing capabilities because I go camping and ride dirt bikes quite a bit. She does not do any of that, nor have a single use for any type of 4x4 car. Aside from the copying, she makes very weird inappropriate jokes. I said I wanted breakfast, she responds, "Don't you get enough sausage from my son?" I say I'm tired, she says maybe don't stay up so late having lovemaking. She has literally said that. One time I made a comment about my boyfriend having big hands and she said, "You know what that means, right? Mama didn't raise no shrimpies." We were on a road trip once, and we had to pull over for a pee break. My boyfriend got out and just peed on the side of the road. Jokingly, I stood behind him and peeked over to watch his business. His mom saw and she came over to do the same. She does say this stuff in front of my boyfriend, her son, and he'll snap and tell her she's being weird, but she only ever laughs it off. When she came over to see his business, he immediately shrugged her off, elbowed her and snapped at her to knock it off. She just doesn't take it seriously. I want the entire future with my boyfriend, kids, house, land, all of it. So cutting her off or giving my boyfriend that ultimatum doesn't seem feasible. Is this an overreaction? Do I just let the weirdness fizzle out and ignore it in the meantime? Edit, things hit the fan. She absolutely lost it when my boyfriend sat down to have a conversation with her. But in the end, we did cut ties. I made a full post explaining how that wildly crazy woman reacted. Thank you for all the responses and advice. While it wasn't what I ever wanted to hear, I apparently needed to, and so did my boyfriend. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, as the mother of a son in his 20s, she's unhinged and deeply inappropriate. He's likely been dealing with this unhealthy enmeshment, which I firmly believe is low-key child abuse, his whole life and is aware that it's weird. I'd talk to him honestly and in a non-judgmental way about your concerns and see what his thoughts are. Commenter 2, this is emotional incest. She sees her son as a placeholder for a partner, and now that he has a partner she sees you as competition for his affection. This behavior will only escalate with every further step you take in your relationship. Getting married? She will wear white. Having a baby? She will insert herself as the mother of your child. You need to talk to your boyfriend about this and ask him to set boundaries. She needs therapy. Commenter 3, Noor, sounds like boyfriend also isn't comfortable. Hopefully he's receptive to your concerns and supports setting down some real boundaries. Would be ashamed to go no contact, but I've read similar stories on here before and that's unfortunately how it ended. Granted, those were in context of married couples, so the stakes were higher. You have the opportunity to break things off without going through divorce if it came to that. Yeah, just gotta talk to him. See if he'll step up to mom. And then go from there. Wonder if she has always acted like this with his girlfriends? Or maybe it has ramped up if you're his first committed relationship and that scares her? Either way, totally gross behavior. Commenter 4, is boyfriend's dad in the picture? There's a weird level of husbandification of her son. He has likely learned to shrug it off or else she will absolutely lose it. She has no business being in her son's business anymore. He needs to stop that. About the mirroring, I would try telling her wrong things you are supposedly going to do or get and see if she copies them. And point it out every time. Do not tell her what dress you are wearing for your engagement or wedding. Potentially tell her it's pink when it's white or go with an unusual style while sending her pictures of pretty standard white dresses. Also, don't share what you plan to name any future children. She is likely going to want to say in that. Commenter 5, as a male in his mid-20s, this is weird as heck. I'd be uncomfortable too. And you're not overreacting. At first I'm like, oh, maybe she's just trying to relate to you by buying the same things. That part seemed innocent enough, but yeah, the rest is weird as heck. Also, Bronco or 4Runner? Lol. Ops response, thank you, it's reassuring hearing the POV from someone the same age. My boyfriend didn't know how to process any of it apparently, and this didn't feel like the type of thing I could open up to anyone in my real life about. And I got a 4Runner, which has become a big part of my personality. Lol. Update, 1 month later. Hi, I was overwhelmed by the amount of responses I got on my previous post linked above, and horrified that my fears were put into words that outsiders were able to very clearly see. I'm not gonna lie, it made me nauseous reading some of the comments and realizing it was a form of emotional incest, which I had to research BTW, hated every second of it. Anyways, here's an update from the drama that went down the last month. I sat down with my boyfriend and had a really uncomfortable talk about all of it, and he was equally horrified. I don't think it ever really hit him how completely bananas and sick the behavior was until everything was laid out on the table back to back. He assured me he hasn't dealt with any deeper abuse from his past, and this seems to be a more recent behavior. I'm his most serious relationship, so we're assuming it was some weird sick jealousy like many of you said. The real drama, He sat down with his mom, without me, and told her how he felt, that it was inappropriate, and that it needed to stop. Well, things hit the fan after that. That woman completely snapped. She blew up my phone with messages about how I will never compete with her, she will always be boyfriend's name first love, and that I shouldn't have felt so insecure, especially since we considered each other friends. She also said there was nothing weird or inappropriate about the comments she's made, and that we're all sensitive snowflakes. Eventually they got into a screaming match. He told her we'd cut ties if she continued acting like this. Both his siblings have cut ties with her for years now, and she pretty much said, "I dare you, you'll deal with the consequences." So ties were cut. But we have learned she's been twisting the story quite a bit to her friends and family, and they apparently blame me, saying I poisoned her son's mind against her. I personally have no guilt for the situation. I think cutting ties was the best outcome, but I do worry about my boyfriend. His dad is still very much in his life, but I worry about him not having his mom, even though she was toxic. For the ones who have cut ties with family members in the past because of a spouse, what kind of advice can you give for a smoother transition to essentially losing a parent? Is there anything that will make it easier on him or both of us? We want to start planning a family soon too, but how am I supposed to ever explain to our child what happened to their grandma? I'm truly scared my boyfriend might hold resentment towards me one day for bringing light to how toxic his mom was. Top comments. Commenter 1, both of you, together, speak to his siblings about why they cut ties. It might be illuminating and it will certainly be good to have some allies within his wider family. As for the future, grandma just isn't very well, so we don't see her anymore or similar will do for the first 10 years or so. Commenter 2, I worry about him not having his mom, even though she was toxic. Well, that's like saying, I worry about him not having his car, even though it has an uncontrollable carbon monoxide leak. I can understand your heart hurting from him not having a loving mother, but that's not what he has lost. He's cutting out a cancer, not a valued parent. Meanwhile, concentrate on the here and now, what you can impact and what you can't. Don't angst over hypothetical conversations with hypothetical children. The woman could be passed by the time you have kids, who knows? Encourage him to see a therapist and just be as supportive as possible. Commenter 3, you did the right thing. She will continue to get worse, and if or when you have kids she will completely go off the deep end. You saved your partner from years of cognitive dissonance, and you may have actually saved your relationship with him.
My wife said we're staying at a hotel for her friend's wedding instead of my parents' house, but now my parents are expecting us and I'm caught between keeping the peace with my wife or dealing with the drama bomb that's about to explode. Posted by you/LevDiver1609. My wife and I are going to be attending her friend's wedding, which is in the same city that I'm from, as in my parents still live there. It's on a Saturday with some events on Sunday, and our plan is to fly out with our 1-year-old on Friday and spend 2 nights there. My wife and my parents, particularly my mom, don't get along too well. I'm fortunate that we're far enough that they have to meet infrequently, and when we do meet, they do remain cordial but distant. My mom could have been more tactful, my wife could have been a bit more understanding too. It's just issues that cannot be bridged, and I won't try to. However, I thought we could stay at my parents' house while we're there. However, my wife is adamantly opposed to the idea and says she needs us to stay at a hotel. I brought up the fact that we meet them on important family occasions without issue, that this was a good opportunity to spend some quality time, but she said this was different. It was her friend's wedding, she wanted to be in the correct headspace and not be stressed. I brought up that staying at my parents would mean more help with getting the clothes ready, and our son. But she's just flat out saying no. She says we can meet them for lunch or something when we land and before leaving, but we can't stay there. I didn't push the issue further, but the more I think about it, the more unreasonable it seems to me. Us not staying is 100% going to open a whole new can of worms in an already fraught dynamic. I'm considering saying that I'll spend time at my parents', with our son if she's okay with that, and link up with her at the hotel after breakfast on Saturday and Sunday if she really wants to just stay at the hotel. Am I the jerk? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I feel like this would really damage your relationship with your wife. How do your parents feel about her staying over? It is a double-edged sword here. If you stay at the hotel, you are choosing your wife over your parents, and vice versa. Ultimately, you are going there for your wife, and she should be able to enjoy the wedding stress-free. Ops response, my parents already know about the wedding, and they'd love for us to stay with them, they're basically expecting it. And this is something I tried to explain to my wife, that having the extra help from my parents, especially with our son, would help reduce the stress, but she's just refusing to listen. Commenter 2, I think you should try and have a more open discussion with your wife about this. Is the reason they don't like each other valid? Or is it some petty things? Ops response, it's petty in the sense that the arguments themselves were inane, but they both felt strongly about it, and neither one gives the other any grace anymore. My mom's attempts to be helpful can be a bit much, and my wife's response can be razor sharp. But I truly appreciate that they both never let it come up when we meet for holidays. Which is another reason I assumed we were good about this, because our meetups are in good spirits with our son enjoying having my parents dote on him. Commenter 3, nah. Talk to her about this idea. She may think it's great to have a solo hotel stay, help with the kid, you get family time and she doesn't have to join in. If you frame it right, it seems win-win. Ops response, thanks. I'll consider that framing. Although I'm still trying to keep the path open for her to see that it just makes sense, in terms of comfort and help, to stay at my parents'. Update, 2 days later. Am I the jerk if I stayed at my parents' place while my wife stayed at the hotel? I'd received a pretty negative response to my last post. I'm okay with that since that was the point I suppose, although I didn't think it would be a near unanimous negative response. I was coming from a place of indignation I suppose, at the fact that she wasn't even entertaining us staying at my parents' as a valid suggestion. After the response, I realized that her staying at a hotel and me staying with my parents would be a bad look and make us look broken, which is far worse than us coming across as rude to my parents by staying at the hotel. So I put that out of my mind. This morning during breakfast, I brought up us staying at my parents' one final time, but no fallback option of sleeping separately. I just tried to come at it from a place of how it could be mutually beneficial and didn't try to push her into it. She said attending the wedding is a fun thing for her, and she wants it to be just the three of us. I just brought up how we were obviously not going to bring my parents along to the wedding, but to her, even the prep and the dressing and the coming back from the wedding and events also needed to be a thing for just the three of us. While I don't fully agree with her, and think that it's just going to cause our relationship with my parents to become even more on edge, a lot of the comments had said this is her event, which I agree with, and will be doing things her way for it. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, Uda for bringing it up again after you already had her answer. Dude, listen to your wife and respect her answers. Uda before and you are still one. Ops response, I didn't push her into it, I just wanted to lay out the pros and cons of it. Commenter 2, why are you so afraid of your parents? Ops response, it's not about afraid. They are an important relationship to us, just like her parents are also an important relationship to us. But obviously not as important as the relationship between me and my wife, and our son. Commenter 3, when you got married and had a child, your wife became your core family and then so did your child. If she's not comfortable staying at their house you cannot force it. Go visit them on your own time, do not ruin the event that she's looking forward to. Get some therapy to get over your mama's boy issues also because if you're always going to prioritize your parents over her, she's going to leave you. Ops response, I agree my wife and my son are my first priority. There is zero doubt about that. I just made a suggestion, and she isn't down for it, so we won't be doing it. Commenter 4, why do I still feel like we're all on an information diet? Why does your wife dislike your parents so much? What did they do that has her this adamant about not spending any time with them? Must have been pretty bad. Ops response, my mom has a habit of giving unsolicited advice, especially when it comes to our son. A lot of it is good, some can be subjective. And my wife, and I guess it's up to her, but she won't even do a surface level acknowledgement if it's not something she agrees with even though it's just on the phone, and then my mom becomes overbearing, which is absolutely my mom's fault alone. And also if we don't talk regularly, she can feel left out, though after I explained to her that our son can be a handful sometimes so we don't have much time, she's become better. It's things like these which could be avoided, especially since we live in different cities so it's not like there's physical proximity, but it still has led to bad blood.